some hope. Climb on the tree. We could be here. We could be here.
Are you just making up stuff now?
I don't remember the words.
You're not gonna make me sing it again. I have them in front of me.
Stay. One by one, they all just... I don't know why I'm turning into Randy Newman as I sing this song. One by one, they all just fade away. He could have sang it, I guess. Go to community college.
Stop
Got
it.
myself some credit. Why not? This is probably... I guarantee you they made a joke at Randy Newman's expense on Community.
I would imagine. Yeah. Did they ever get that movie?
They are in production of that movie.
Oh, please.
So they say.
So they say. They've said that for the past 10 years.
What classes would you take at Greendale, Rachel? If you looked up the class schedule for Greendale.
Do they have a class schedule? Because that'd be kind of great.
I think so. Sailing. Grifting 101. That's probably a good one. That's probably the most
sounds like a fun
lucrative
one, honestly.
And it's very...
opinions?
Very... Oh, opinions.
Yeah.
The history of ice cream.
Ooh. Intro to senselessness?
I like that. Baby talk.
Can I fry that? Ladders?
Ladders. I'm taking ladders.
Ladders sounds like a great one.
Advanced breath holding.
Ooh, okay. That's helpful. Is psychopharmacology a real study?
I don't know. I like advanced breath holding.
No, I think that one sounds really fun. Yeah.
Although I'm not very good at holding my breath, as people on this that listen to this podcast know. So, I mean, you keep looking through the booklet and figure out what classes we're going to take.
Okay.
And I'll start
Antics. I want to do antics.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is Shelf Life, a podcast where brother and sister team go through all things pop culture, no matter the genre, in great detail, called walkthroughs to determine whether or not the subject at hand belongs on your shelf. And today, Rachel and I are going back to school, sort of, in this subject. Yes, it is time for us to cover one of those... I mean, the internet would have you believe that it's like one of the most popular things ever, but to me... I tried to get my friends into it. It was hard to get anybody really into it. Mm-hmm. It's a hidden gem.
It's a bit, yeah.
We're going to have to find out if it has shelf life, though. It's a cult show that somehow made it to 110 episodes. Rachel, what is the subject we will discuss today?
We are going to be talking about the first 3 episodes of season 1 of Community.
Yes, the... mid-aughts, or not mid-aughts, the late-aughts, 2009. Yeah. The show where a group of people are... Well, I mean, we'll talk about that. Yes,
you usually
Community.
Ask me.
and yeah, that's right. I was like, Rachel has to do this. It's not me. And the sitcom from NBC about a community college. That's what we're talking about. And that is it. That is what it is.
About a study group at a community college.
Yeah. It's a very wholesome show.
It's
like it's a drama. It's a drama. This one I feel like flies under the radar sometimes, although there are definitely pockets of the internet that will continually bring up some of the jokes or episodes that it had. But at the same time, if you ask like a normal person on the street, they might not have watched this one. It makes for an interesting subject for us. Now, there are 25 episodes in season 1 of Community, which means that I think as we talk about like rankings, does it have shelf life, does it not, we've only done stuff that has max 13 episodes. And I think, Rachel, that means that we're gonna have to think about this in semesters.
Oh boy.
So we're gonna do the fall semester, season 1 of Community, and then we'll do the spring semester of Community after that, but we'll do our shelf life verdict on the first semester. Yeah. I think that's how we'll kind of break this down. Because otherwise, Rachel, you're gonna have to like keep track of your point total for your rankings to be able to do all 25 episodes.
It's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, I mean we will, but Rachel will have to like write down like, okay, I gave that one a 7.2 Gave that one a 7.5.
Oh yeah, I
so
go
that one goes
really
higher.
deep and detailed into how I rank these episodes. It's very structured, and it is the proper way to do it. It is not
That's right.
random or made up on the spot at all.
That's right. That's
I
right.
promise.
Very scientific. She's created an algorithm for herself based on her own traits and needs and wants, and then the algorithm just
And I
tells
put the numbers
her,
in there, and then it spits out the ranking.
Out. Yep. Exactly. She has a camera on her face.
Oh yeah,
during
facial
the watching.
recognition.
And then it recognizes her expressions as
or how
she
I'm
watches.
feeling. My heart rate is also monitored, so it registers the excitement.
Absolutely, yes. Rachel, Community. Do you have a history with it, and what is the show about?
History is hard for me to pinpoint because I just remember watching it. I remember it being there, and it was just like, oh, this is fun. And then you and I would watch it together. Or did we watch it together? Yeah, we watched it together.
Well, see, this is where I don't know because it came out in 2009.
Yeah.
So I would have been in college when it first came out.
But like when you were coming back for summers, I feel like I
feel
remember
like in
watching
the summers
it.
I
Or
guarantee
you
I got
were
the
having
DVD.
me watch it. You were like making me watch it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly when the DVD came out, but I bet you that I bought the DVD and then we like watched it during the summer or something like that.
Right.
Had to have happened.
That's all I really remember. Yeah.
Because it came out in 2009. Yeah, I don't know. I'll give you mine just because like you're saying like you don't even remember, but
I don't remember.
You've seen.
Oh yeah,
Have you
I've
seen these
it.
episodes?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't recall watching it when it first came on, but that doesn't really mean anything. So this became part of, to integrate it with the backstory a little bit, this became part of the Thursday night lineup for NBC. They were trying to find something to make like that block of comedies that they had like in the 90s with Friends and Seinfeld. So they had The Office, they had, what was the 30 Rock, and then they needed 2 more shows. Well, in the spring, as we've talked about, they had Parks and Rec, and they renewed Parks and Rec. So now they're like, okay, we need 1 more, and they go and they get Community. So Thursday nights for me at college was always Taco Bell Thursdays. My roommate and I, after work, we would go get Taco Bell. We would come back, and we would watch The Office primarily, but then what became Parks and Rec and Community. He was tempted on Community, but it came on first, so I would watch Community, and then The Office would come on. But I don't remember watching it. It's such a strange thing that I just like don't recall. But I know I was a fan, or I know I watched it because I was a fan of The Soup.
Yes.
And I was a
because
fan of Joel McHale.
Yes, because that was always so ridiculous and fun to watch.
Yeah, so I always watched The Soup, and knowing that he was going to be on this show, I was like, all right, well, I'll watch the show. The one thing where I think that you're thinking of it, Rachel, was I had a semester during college where I lived at home because I was doing an internship. Mm-hmm. Not a full semester, but like a couple of months or whatever it was. But I was back at home, and I probably watched Community with you then.
Probably.
I can distinctly remember the end of this season. I can remember watching Modern Warfare.
Oh yeah.
With Taco Bell.
Yes.
But I was at home. But it was like, no, this is tradition.
I think I remember watching it with you. I think we did that
I
together.
can distinctly remember doing it. So that particular one is ingrained
no wonder
in my
you
brain.
picked today then for us to record, since it is Taco Bell Tuesday. Might not be a Thursday.
True.
But I did have Taco Bell today.
I too did also had Taco Bell. 'Cause they made it Taco Bell Tuesday. They ruined our tradition, but that's okay. That's okay. But Rachel, what is Community about?
So Community is about a group of people that came together to make a study group, and they're all in community college together.
At
and
this
just
ridiculous
and they're all
community
different
college.
sorts of like people, different ages, races, all of that, genders, everything.
If this show came on today, there'd be a lot of YouTube grifters, troll shitheads calling it woke because of
probably.
the
but
diversity.
I like how
in the group.
diverse their group is. It's
No, it makes
great.
sense. It makes sense because you're getting a different perspective with each character.
Right. But you you go along with them while they either are going to school, coming back to school, the classes, their antics, all of that stuff that they get up to.
And the community college itself is
Ridiculous.
this wacky land.
So silly. You know, it's the
that
humans,
as the
so...
show goes on, it becomes Springfield-esque in its world building.
Not stuff happens in the background. Like whole
Yeah.
stories happen in the background.
Well, that's what makes this stand apart from a lot of other shows.
They bring back stuff and you're like, oh my god, that's like from this season. And then
the writing,
it's like,
the
very
writing
clever.
and everything, very, very clever. And we'll get into some of like the behind the scenes stuff and like the tumultuous attitude that was had as the show progressed, of course. But in season 1, everything was fine. In fact, I listened to the audio commentaries, and Chevy Chase had no problem being on those commentaries or anything like that at that point. But yeah, it's a show just about a community college and this group of people that are all having to attend for various reasons.
Right.
And it's a wacky comedy show. It's like absurdist.
It's very absurd. I would say that.
But
it also feels right.
Well, that's what makes it so interesting, is that, like, I'll probably repeat myself when we talk about the episodes today, but I was watching it and I'm like, there's something oddly comforting about this show. It's not nostalgia because I was in college when it came out, and granted, I'm old, so like it's been a while, so you could consider it nostalgia. It's not nostalgia. It's like a different feeling of just like,
of a community.
Feels nice.
It's a community coming.
There's something about it that just feels very
of community and togetherness and family.
It's just that it is really just the characters and the writing and everything.
Yes.
Just works very
well
differently
together.
than a lot of other shows that were around the time or still on or whatever. You don't get this style a lot, and a lot of that has to do with the creator and the writers and the collaborators and of course the actors. I think all kind of had a hand in that. The world building itself is what's interesting about the show too, and you'll see that as we go through season 1, because it starts with very basic plots.
Yes.
The stories are very straightforward, and you're just getting like character building. Mm-hmm. And then as the show progresses, they take on tones and genres and TV tropes and movie tropes.
Yes.
And they do all of these like subversions so that the world becomes whatever genre they're talking about, and it's just it becomes like crazy, but it like it's so dynamic because like The Simpsons, they're able to do kind of anything they want,
which is so
because
weird,
they've established the world.
Yes, because the world is so established in that it can do this. You go, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. Get as crazy as you want.
You go along with it.
Yes.
Sometimes it doesn't work, but a lot of times it works, and that's where the shelf life of it all comes in.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's different than a lot of the stuff that you were getting. It's one of those where I kind of wish, and I don't want them to do the exact same thing, but we really could use another Community.
Yeah, something like it.
As a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I feel like we don't have a lot of stuff like that right now. So that would be kind of nice. A lot more dramas and things of that nature.
Something, or a lot of comedies now are on streaming, and they think they have to be like an hour long and have like very dry humor. And it's like, give me some absurd airplane Zucker Brothers-esque with heart that like Community has in it.
Yeah.
Like there's something about this tone that I just feel like we don't have, and maybe I'm wrong, like folks at home, if there is something like this, let me know.
I need to know. I need some good lightheartedness
and you know
now.
what the humor also reminds me of slightly is internet humor from this era.
That's true. That's very true.
You and I, Rachel, loved college humor.
Oh yeah,
back in the day, and I've heard that Dropout is very good. I don't pay for it. I've heard that it is still very good, though.
Yeah.
It has a similar tone as College Humor did back then, if you know what I mean. I mean, you and I watched all those videos, so you do know what I mean, but the folks at home know what I mean. Absurd. No one's taking this completely seriously, but we still have the heart and we still have a message or whatever in the background. Right. I don't know. That all comes from the brain of a man named Dan Harmon. Rachel, you know anything about Dan Harmon?
The name is familiar, but I don't know.
Well, you watch his other show, Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay.
I've not...
Also absurd, somewhat clever. Yeah. Insane. Cartoon, though.
He was a writer for a lot of stuff. Born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Dan Harmon, Rachel, is an interesting guy. He's notoriously, I don't think that he would even say that he's not difficult to work with. Huge pain in the ass because he's like a perfectionist and like super in the weeds of the details and a micromanager and all this kind of stuff. He's got rants where he's like where he talks about that, and like how there's like articles that will like talk about how big of a dick he is, and then it'll call him a genius, and he'll be like, "See, look, genius, that's in there."
I mean, yeah, dick,
and stuff like that.
But genius. Look at the positives.
He's had like scandals that he's apologized for and stuff like that over the years as well. He's this guy that is a very clever writer who has very specific rules about his writing style. He has what is dubbed as the Dan Harmon story circle. And it's virtually just the hero's journey, but it's done in a way that the first half is all about bringing order and the second half is all about bringing chaos. So think about a circle like the hero's journey, and that first quadrant is order, and it's the character trying to get out of their comfort zone and like being pulled along on they desire something, they want something. What do they want? And then they enter an unfamiliar situation and stuff starts to happen, but they pay a heavy price for getting what they wanted. That's all the chaos. And then they go back and they return to the familiar situation, and then they've changed as a result of what they've gone through, and that's the order again. Sure. So everything that Dan Harmon writes utilizes this story circle. It's essentially the hero's journey. He's just got a few different like specifics that he thinks that need to be in there, and he's used it forever.
Okay. And
you see that throughout all of the stuff that is in Community and that's in Rick and Morty. Even episodes or season-long arcs. Like, they all use that same framework. NBC is looking to make this fourth show, and they approach Harmon about making a show. He based the premise, and he wanted to do a show that was based off of his own community college experiences, which I told you he went to Glendale Community College.
Right.
Which is in Los Angeles. And he was in a Spanish study group. He was trying to, he was doing it for a girl.
Of course.
And he said that against his own instincts, he became close friends with the members, even though he didn't have anything in common with them. He said he was in this group with these knuckleheads, and I started really liking them, even though they had nothing to do with the film industry, and I had nothing to gain from them and nothing to offer them. Because he thinks of himself as being, like, arrogant and emotionally distant, and then understanding, like, through all these people that don't have anything in common with him.
That he found a community of people that he could be a part of.
Right, exactly. So he also has this thing called Channel 101. Channel 101 was this short film thing, like internet thing, where any independent like filmmaker could come and they would like help them get like a 5-minute short done and shit like that.
Okay.
So he was running this thing called like Channel 101. They decide to get Anthony and Joe Russo on board to help him run the show and direct the show for him. Rachel, Anthony and Joe Russo. Do you know those names?
They sound familiar once again.
Well, they should, because they've done a couple Captain Americas, they've done a couple of Avengers, they're going to do the next couple of Avengers.
They're all over the place.
Mm-hmm. So you deal with them quite a bit. So they tell them that they're going to give them like a half season to be able to do this. Interesting, and I wouldn't have known this back then, like Harmon went out and did like these short commercials for Glendale on like Channel 101. So there's like these Glendale Community College commercials that
hilarious.
I can't imagine what our fake sponsors will be. And so they got the Russos, they've got him. He's got a writing staff. All of these guys are very, very good at this. The Russos, I know, have made some clunkers, although I've never watched anything that's outside of the MCU or Community from them. People just don't like the other stuff that they've done.
Okay.
I can't speak to it. They talk about it in the commentaries a lot, of the techniques that they used to do a lot of the shooting for Community. They're trying to make it very cinematic. And they had to stop because they were like, comedic timing doesn't work for some of these shots that they were trying to pull off.
Sure.
But you see it in those first episodes. They're doing like dolly shots and rotating the camera and like doing all these things that make it feel less static than what a normal television show would.
Yes. You do feel there's movement. There's movement with everything.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what they brought along with them as well. They end up having to cast the show. Dan Harmon really wanted to bring in Chevy Chase.
He's like,
he
no, I need Chevy Chase.
And when you find out what happened later with them, it's hilarious that he's like, no, we need Chevy Chase. Chevy apparently did not want to do it at first because Chevy Chase, you want to talk about notorious assholes, Chevy Chase is a notorious asshole. I think he thought that it would be like beneath him to be on this show.
Of course.
But they talked him into it. He just thought that the writing was good. Like, whenever you ask Chevy Chase, like, why, he was just like, the writing was good. Like, it was just a very well-written script. So he was like, all right, I guess I'll try it. And the fault of what happens later on in, like, season 5 or whenever Chevy finally leaves the show is that he's so good as Pierce in this, as just this bumbling old man oaf that goes back to school because he just needs something to do with his life.
Yes.
So he's on board, and then Joel McHale kind of says that the rest of them all came on board because, like they said, the writing was just better than anything that they were reading to, like, become on board.
Yeah.
They get Joel McHale because they needed somebody that looked the part of being this
douchebag?
I'm not using their term, but a flawed prince type guy, right? Like, Joel McHale is like 6.5 feet tall. He's ripped. He's like, built like, you wouldn't know it if you only watched The Soup, but he's like a diver. He was like a diver in college, so he's like built like that still.
Oh,
at
that's
this point.
fair. Yeah,
and he's
like
play
that handsome schmarmy dude.
Yeah, he's a super smarmy. Donald Glover was on 30 Rock. He was writing for 30 Rock. And they thought that he could be good for a part on this. You get Allison Brie, you get Gillian Jacobs, you get Yvette Nicole Brown, you get Danny Pudi, and it all just kind of clicks into place where you just have all of these people that have different backgrounds, and they're all just like, shit, this is good. Let's do this. NBC gives them a half a season to do their stuff, and there were executives that were very much in favor of just kind of knowing, like, no, if we give them the right amount of, like, ability here, it's going to be more clever than anything on TV. That doesn't always translate to ratings, of course. How good something is does not necessarily mean that it's going to be the number one rated thing on television.
A lot of boobs watch TV, so sometimes they don't want the clever.
Have you seen The Average Person? Half of those people are stupider than that.
But it does. It can go over your head. If it goes over your head, you're not going to enjoy it.
Right. There's a lot of references and stuff, and there's a lot of that kind of humor in this, so I could see where that would happen. But they get it all together. They get half of a season to be able to do their stuff. It does get picked up, though, before, a few episodes in, and it gets the full treatment. And that's pretty much the story of how this thing came together. This leash, because of what some of the executives thought, like, this is a little more modern, it's a little more hip, it's a little more new, it's different, it's clever, and the writing is extremely good of the scripts that Dan put together. The weird thing and the micromanaging thing that I can say, and I've seen it on a few things where it says that Dan Harmon would rewrite every script himself.
Oh, God.
So, like, he had a writing staff, and the writing staff was very good. That first writing staff for Community is very good. And the Russos, of course, are going to put their own spin on it, and the actors they said Chevy would improvise more than any of them.
Sure.
And that, like, Harmon even was like, no, Chevy knows what to say. He'll come up with a line and you'll be like, you can cut on that line.
That's fine.
Yeah, like, he's just good at this. But I thought that was interesting that, like, no matter who wrote it, he would go through and he would, like, fix it to that story circle so that it sounded more like a Dan Harmon thing. So then the show needs to come out. It does on September 17th, 2009. The first episode of Community airs. John Oliver is in it. Like, just all of these. Ken Jeong, we didn't even talk about yet.
That's true.
Like, all of these people. Jim Rash as Dean Pelton. It is insane.
There's a lot of faces. You're going to recognize a lot of people.
But it may, if it has shelf life, Rachel, prove one of my theories and one of your theories here, which is, like, if you just make something good, don't try to make something that's going to make money. Just try to make something that's going to be good.
Yes.
That people are going to like, that is exceptional, and it will last longer than something that made money. Now, are you going for money? Are you going for your artistic value? And I think that with Dan Harmon, it's probably more on the latter side, and I think that's why it clashed a lot. Mm-hmm. But we'll get into that kind of stuff. how do you say his last name? The guy that does the music for
Ludwig?
not the opening credits, but just the score is done by Ludwig Göransson, and he has Oscars now
Of course.
for scoring Black
It's great,
Panther
though.
and what did he get? He got two. He got one for Black Panther and he got one for something else. Is it Oppenheimer? I bet it's Oppenheimer. Yeah, Oppenheimer. He's doing a Hans Zimmer riff. Like, you think it's Hans Zimmer when you listen to it. It's the guy that did fucking Community.
It's even better.
Rachel, anything else to discuss about Community before we get right into it?
No, I'm ready. Class is almost in session. We gotta get there. So
Do 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 do.
It's time.
When we come back, we'll get right into the pilot episode of Community after the break.
Why did I go Greendale?
So I can keep my job and get busy with my education.
To meet different people.
Because Greendale's a slam dunk.
So why should you?
Why should you?
Why should you go Greendale?
That's easy. Greendale has the most advanced typing class in the southwestern Greendale area. And now you can register by fax.
Go Greendale, go Greendale, go!
Give me some more time in the tree.
time in the tree. Where are you coming up with this? Do I need to give you the lyrics again? Give me some rope, tie me to a dream, give me the hope to run out of steam. Somebody said it could be here. We could be roped up, tied up, dead in a year. I can't count the reasons I should stay. One by one, they all just fade away.
We're back.
You're keeping that in there, aren't you?
Yep, I am. With the first episode of Community, Season 1. Rachel, what is that episode called?
Pilot!
Yep, pilot. Like
the
every
pilot.
other one. Yeah.
It should be first day of school.
It should be first day of school. Folks at home, if you can get that time machine to go back and change it to first day of school, I'll wait. Anytime.
Oh, look, it changed.
Didn't change. Didn't change.
Didn't change at all.
This episode was directed by Anthony and Joe Russo and was written by Dan Harmon. Aired on September 17th, 2009. Rachel, where were you on September 17th, 2009?
School?
I was in high school.
I was probably in class.
I
Well,
would've been-
when it came out, I wasn't in class, obviously.
I
Maybe
would
in
have been
band.
filming the football team.
Oh, then I was definitely
See,
in band.
this is where it gets weird because like as I've said on this, my roommate and I worked for the football team, and we would have had to have been at their practices. That's why I think Community was always a hit or miss on whether or not I would get to watch it. I would watch it on
Get the
Hulu or
rerun of
something.
it, maybe?
This was like yeah, when like they would have the reruns of the stuff online.
Like, they would
like, a
play
week-
it, and then they would rerun it.
Yeah, and like it was the beginnings of like the Hulu thing where like
Mm-hmm.
you could like rewatch something like the day after.
Right.
Sometimes I'd have to do that if practice ran later. We needed to stay at the stadium or something. And because we had to go get our Taco Bell, we had to
Oh, of course.
we had to get the Taco Bell to be ready for the office.
As is
So we
necessary.
normally anyway. Let's get right into the pilot. That sequence, Rachel, that song by the 88, also known as
At least it was here.
At Least It Was Here. At Least It Was Here by the 88. Does not show up in this episode. Thank you, Rachel, for getting there before I did. The episode begins with a bell going off, and it sounds like it should be like from the school, but it is not. It is actually from this boombox that the dean has. Just
That's right.
it immediately alerts you that the school is kind of cheap.
Yes.
Or is
it
like
kinda
falling apart because
does.
they don't have a real bell. It's just the dean using a boombox to do this. And we get
He's
Jim
like doing
Rash
karaoke
as
style. He's got his microphone plugged into the boombox.
that's right, and he's giving an announcement or at least kind of like a introductory speech for the semester and like for the year that a
Yes.
dean might do at a normal college or even maybe a community college. I don't know. What's your history with community college, Rachel? Do you have any?
I went to classes. I took classes, I think, while I was in high school, and then I did some stuff in the summers. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I didn't go to, like, community college fully.
No, I am the same way. I went to a 4-year school right out of high school. I did take classes over the summer for a year or two. I can't remember, but at least
Right.
1 year I did classes over the summer at the community. We had a big community college
It was
by
a
us.
big one. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was
It wasn't
a lot of people
Greendale.
went there. It was not Greendale. It was not a small community college. It was huge. I know I had friends that went there for 2 years and then transferred or whatever as well. But yeah, nothing quite like Greendale. So like my experience at community college was more of like those summer classes where all the schmucks that went to 4-year schools are taking to get cheaper credits. So
Yeah,
we
to
could transfer
try
in.
out. I think I even like got to try out different stuff there. That's kind of what I was doing, was playing around with different subjects and seeing what's
One day I'll teach at a community college.
Could be fun.
One day I will. I'll let you know. I'm gonna be Professor LT Gray.
I think you have to be.
It's
It's the only way to
definitely-
make sure that they listen to you.
On my
and
first day, I
respect
would
you.
give that exact same speech.
and
Absolutely.
see who goes.
I have always thought about doing that, about teaching at a community college. I can do that. I have a master's degree, so I am
Good
allowed.
for you.
That was my best Jeff Winger humble brag type thing that I could throw in there. Ladies, I have a master's degree. Not telling you in what, but I do have
Unless
one.
you date him.
That's also true. Yeah, date me and find out. If you'd like to find out, go on a date with me. So the Dean, Rachel, can you please explain the character of Dean Pelton?
He is an interesting
This
man.
might take her a while.
He is an interesting man. He is small, skinny, bald, bespectacled,
Looks like an egg.
nerd,
Yes. He looks like a cartoon
Flamboyant.
character.
very
Yes,
cartoony,
flamboyant.
and very excitable.
Yes, very excitable. Thinks he's doing the Lord's work.
Oh, absolutely.
He does his damnedest
so
to make...
Passionate about this community
Yes.
college.
And gets crazier and weirder, of course, as the series goes on. Jim Rash, of course, playing him, another Academy Award winner. This fucking show is Jim Rash. Won an Academy Award for writing The Descendants. So there you go.
Wow.
He's doing the boombox thing, and Rachel, this will be the first tip if we watch the same thing. It turns to rap as he's trying to give the announcements, so he has to like try to turn the boombox off. Yeah, if that doesn't happen, then you got the syndicated version on Peacock.
I don't remember. I don't think so. Oh, so I got the shitty version?
Interesting.
Guys, I got the
Interesting.
shitty version of Community. I'm sad now.
Folks, this is why you gotta buy those Blu-rays. I've got the Blu-rays set. That's the difference. That's the difference. So I'll be pointing these out as we go. The boombox starts turning to like rap music while he's trying to like give his speech. So he like stumbles upon trying to turn it off, and that, you know, it's Dean Pelton, so hijinks ensue there.
Of course.
He gives the new semester announcements as people mildly show interest. There's like some people that are like trying to humor him almost, like on the quad listening to him talk, but they like don't really care, or they don't look like they care.
Right. They're just kind of like, what's he going
And
to
the-
talk about? Like, okay, I guess I'll listen to this and then go to class.
He's got some note cards, and he says, "What is community college?" Well, people will tell you, or people say that it is loser college for remedial teens, 20-something dropouts, divorcees, and old people trying to keep their wits, or whatever it is. And as it does this, it goes through all of our study group, Abed, Troy.
It doesn't show Abed.
It doesn't show Abed? Oh no, you're right. It
No.
doesn't show Abed.
No.
Troy is the remedial teen.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
And then the 20-something dropout.
20-something dropout is Britta.
Right. And then we have the middle-aged divorcee.
Surely.
Yes. And
And
then we
old
have the
people.
old man trying to keep his mind working or active or
Yes.
however he says it.
And after he does this, he goes,
What is community college? Well, you've heard all kinds of things. You've heard it's loser college for remedial teens, 20-something dropouts, middle-aged divorcees, and old people keeping their minds active as they circle the drain of eternity. That's what you've heard. However, I wish you luck!
"I wish you luck!"
And everybody's
So he
like,
screws
what?
up. So he
There's like a
screws
whole
up the
card
speech.
missing. Whole card missing.
Yeah, and he goes, "Oh, I think there might be some missing cards here." But of course, the joke being, and that's what makes this clever is that it's like, nope, that is what it's for. It's for losers, and I just
It's not.
I never like that they portray it that way. It's not. It's a
But I
cheaper
think that's
version.
the joke, too.
Yes, that's the joke. That is definitely the joke.
That it's the
And
stereotype.
that's what
Because
makes it-
they like to mess
that's
with
the stereotype.
stereotypes in this.
100% stereotypes and tropes, and I think it makes it funny. It just makes it a lot funnier to be able to do stuff like that.
But yeah, the community college isn't for a bunch of losers and dropouts. It might be. It might have those
There
there.
will be losers and
Of course
dropouts
they
there.
will be.
But they're at the 4-year schools too.
Right. They're all over the place. So good luck.
So I wish you luck. We find our next two characters, which are Abed and Jeff Winger. Abed Nadir and Jeff Winger. Rachel, please to explain. I'm going to make you explain all the main characters.
This is so
as I usually do.
hard. This is so hard for me.
I can explain them if you want me to.
Jeff Winger, you kind of explained him already. He is
Well, I didn't explain why he's there. Like, we
okay.
learn why he's there eventually.
He's a lawyer who doesn't have a real degree from the United States, so they were like, go back to school and get your proper degree.
Yeah, or we're going to disbar you.
Right.
And you're not allowed to practice until you get your proper degree. I think the
Yes.
problem is that we learned that he's a very good lawyer because
Yeah,
he
he's
knows
good
how
at
to talk
it.
his way out of everything. Yeah, but he never got the degree.
But he
to be
didn't do
able
it
to practice.
properly. So he is kind of that smarmy, good-looking, like, jackass.
Yes. Narcissistic,
Absolutely.
arrogant guy.
Yes.
The way that Dan Harmon described him on the commentary was he doesn't say anything ingenuine because he just doesn't care. He only cares about himself. So what he tells the
Absolutely.
group, it's not like he's faking it because he just doesn't care. And Abed is a teenage kid,
Geeky kid.
very geeky, on the spectrum.
Yes.
Who his main source of understanding things comes from media, comes from TV and movies.
Not podcast, but probably would have been if it was
It would have been
thing.
podcast. If this came out in 2019, podcast would have been another one that he would have been obsessed with.
Yes, but he's obsessed with pop culture.
Jeff, for some reason, of course, because it is Joel McHale wearing a sport coat, a sweater,
Like a
and
sweater
a t-shirt
with
under
like
the sweater.
like a button-down sports coat and sweatpants.
Yeah, what is with the sweatpants?
What does he care? He's in college. He just has to look good from the top, like waist up.
They actually talk about it on the commentary, and they said that there was like a big fight on the staff of like, should he wear sweatpants or not?
Interesting.
I think it's weird. He never wears sweatpants again after this pilot episode, and I think it was supposed to, like you're saying, make him look like hip, like he doesn't give a shit, and now
Yes,
he's like in
he's
this
trying
college.
too hard.
Yeah, but it's a weird look, but it does look very Joel McHale.
Yeah, I feel like
Like,
Joel
despite
McHale
the-
would do it because like I could see that's what he
On the
wore on
suit,
the suit.
without a pants,
Like
yeah.
you don't know he's not wearing he's wearing boxer shorts or sweatpants and the upper body looks a little bit more like put together. That just feels like the suit.
100%. Abed is talking Jeff's ear off he's talking about his mom being Polish and his dad is Pakistani. Oh no, Danny Pudi is like Palestinian.
He's half
or Middle
Arabic.
Eastern.
His dad is Pakistani.
Okay, yeah, Pakistani. And giving Jeff all this backstory about like how his parents divorced and blah, blah, blah. He came here to do film, all this stuff. As they're talking and as Jeff is completely ignoring him, he sees Britta just kind of sitting on some steps far enough away.
Oh, but see, I like when Abed goes, my name's Abed, by the way, and he goes, oh, it's really nice to know you and then meet you in that order.
Yes.
I
yes,
loved
very,
that line.
Very good. Yes. Yeah, that's a very good line. Thank you for stopping that one. Yes.
I was like, wait, hold on. Now he
Yeah.
sees Britta.
God, like don't you wish you were that clever to be able to like say something like that
Yes.
if somebody were to talk your ear off? Like,
It
it's just so
only
quick.
happens. It only happens once in a decade or a blue moon or whatever for me. But sometimes when I hit it, I hit it so well.
A lot of these little comebacks that the characters have in this, like I just kind of wish that I was clever enough to do that kind of stuff. Instead, we're talking about it through this podcast. But he sees Britta. Of course, Abed got all of the info about Britta from one interaction because he's like, well, I only talked to her one time, but I've learned that she's 28 years old and she's from this and she's lived here and this and that and she's, all of this kind of stuff. Britta, played by Gillian Jacobs, she is your self-righteous, progressive dropout.
Yes.
That's trying to change the world.
Right.
Or wants to change the world. She wants to be an activist.
She wants to be an activist. I think that's the best way to say it, is she wants to be an activist.
Yes. Gillian Jacobs, I was like, was she really 28 when this came out? This was another one of those, Rachel, where I was like, do I look this old? Because she was. I thought that she was in her 30s, but she was literally 29 years old when this came out.
I don't think she looks that old.
Okay,
I would have pegged her 27.
Yeah, but that's my problem, because when I think about my own age, I'm like, do I look a decade older than Gillian Jacobs does in Community?
Oh, fair. I guess that's okay. Yeah, I get what you mean now.
Because Gillian Jacobs, she is people like to say that, I mean, first of all, everyone in the show is gorgeous. It's fucking a travesty.
It's not fair.
But even Chevy Chase. But
he looks great as an old man. All right?
This big beer belly.
It's great.
Gillian Jacobs was always the one that I thought was the cute one on Community.
She's very
Especially
pretty.
as she becomes more aloof as the series goes on.
Yes.
She just becomes more adorable to me.
But you like... No, you also like Annie, though. I remember you always loving Annie.
No, I absolutely like Annie. Let's be real. Alison Brie is gorgeous. The thing about Alison Brie, though, is she looks more gorgeous outside of the Annie aesthetic than she does as Annie. Because like Annie's like the uptight one.
Sure.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
But they're both ridiculously good looking.
That's fair.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, yeah, but you also like small progressive blondes or something.
That's very
like
true, too. You just like tiny blondes. Yeah. He's got a type.
I do not have a type. I like strong-willed brunette women.
You like women
Ron
who
Swanson.
could like punch you? I always feel like Britta would punch somebody.
Yeah, Britta would probably punch me. Anyway, Abed got all this information, and Jeff turns to Abed and says, Abed, I completely see your value now, and walks away from him. And Abed goes, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. That's good.
Both funny and sad.
And probably true.
And probably true, yeah.
Jeff goes into John Oliver's office. John Oliver is playing a guidance counselor.
Professor Ian Duncan.
Again, it's another like one of those weird things where it's like John Oliver was on The Daily Show, but then like now he has his own show and does deep dives into things on HBO and stuff like that. We learned that Jeff was his lawyer and he got him off on a DUI charge. My favorite bit of this, which you probably didn't get in your syndicated version, Rachel, is that John Oliver says that he got him off and he goes, I can't believe that you got me off by connecting my DUI to 9/11.
No, that definitely wasn't in this.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't in this one.
That's a funny joke, though. And Jeff says something like, well, it was 2004, it was a different time, or whatever year he says it was in. So it's been some time.
He is in this little Cracker Jack box of a room, by the way.
Yes,
that is
they
just
gave him this little
full to the brim of stuff.
Yes, it's got boxes of stuff. There's plants everywhere. Like
plants,
it's just
crazy stuff
junk
on the walls. Yes. Ink blots.
And Duncan asks him, like, what is he doing here? Like, why, is he teaching? Jeff says, no, actually, I'm a student because the state bar suspended his license. And he asks Duncan for answers. This ask is absurd when you think about it. And they even say on the commentary,
it's very absurd.
like, what? How does he think he would get this? He wants the answers for every test that he's going to have in every class he's going to have that semester. And then even Duncan is like, if I do this for you for this semester, you're just going to want it for every semester. And then, like, you're going to keep, asking for the answers for everything.
Yes. My assumption is that Jeff thinks they always give the exact same exams every year for every single class.
He has no respect for college, much less a community college. So, yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah. So he just thinks, oh, well, you guys already have all the answers because you have all the questions because you use the same damn thing for decades.
Hey, that's how we think. That's how the Delta House was thinking at Animal House when it came to their test that they cheated on.
I mean, they got the one that was being printed, all right?
That's
so
true.
they
They
went
were
for
smarter.
the one that was right there.
That's true. I got Rachel to admit that the Deltas did something clever. Or more clever. There's some other show that it might be Boy Meets World, where like the class that came after like the previous class tried to use the same answer sheet, and the teacher's like, "You don't think I'd change the
Right.
questions?
Yeah.
Like, are you that stupid or whatever?"
Yes,
I
they
can't
are.
remember.
And yes, they are.
Dean, or I keep calling him the Dean, but it's Duncan. Duncan says to Jeff that like he's not going to learn anything if he gives him all the answers, and like I do like the part where he tells them that he got away with all of these like little tricks and like all this stuff that he learned in the real world, but he's not going to be able to get away with that in community college. It's like a reverse of what you would normally think. Where like even in Animal House, where it's like we're in college, none of this matters, we can get away with anything, we're college students. Where like Duncan's like, you were able to get away with everything in the real world because the real world is slimy and shitty.
Yes.
You can't do that here because
a
there's
little bit
like
more
structure.
structure.
Yeah,
It's true. It's kind of true. It's a little true.
I don't know what what
really know,
college is like now
honestly.
with AI and shit.
No
but-
idea. Oh God, it's gotta
No
be hell
idea.
for teachers. It's gotta be hell for professors and teachers. Annoying.
It's at some point you just got to be like, you either get this or you don't, and if you excel in the real world, then I guess fine, whatever. But yeah, who knows? I like Jeff's line when after Duncan says that he's not going to learn anything, when he says to him, "If I wanted to learn something, I wouldn't have come to community college." And it kind of tells you why Jeff picked a community college
'Cause he figured
instead
it'd
of
be
going to
quick
a
and easy.
4-year. It's just
Yep.
going to be a breeze. He exits the room thinking that Duncan is going to give him some of the answers.
Yeah, he just says, "I'll look into it." He doesn't really say anything else other than that.
This next scene, they said that Chevy Chase came up with all on his own. He was working with like them on set, and they were like, "Well, we need you to do something." And he was like, "Well, I'm gonna give you like a bunch of different stuff." He was like, just give me a hot dog, and I'm gonna give you a bunch of different stuff, and you guys decide what you want to keep."
Hot dog.
And they kept all of it because they were just like, he's brilliant. So, and him struggling with this hot dog is so funny. And one of the Russos was even like, you think the joke is that he's just gonna like, the hot dog's gonna squirt out, or he's gonna do something like
He's gonna
stupid with like the
drop
mustard.
it. Yeah.
And him putting it back in with the rest of the buns because
Just puts
he's
it into the
embarrassed
buns. Yes.
is funny because it's unexpected.
And the kid next to him is just like, all right. Like he's watching him do it. He's just sitting right there.
But this whole sequence of Pierce just trying to put a hot dog together in the cafeteria is just funny. It's just so stupid.
Yep.
Jeff goes up to Britta and tries to hit on her. And she picks up on it right away because Britta is not an idiot, or
Right.
at least not yet. And because Glenn Greendale definitely messes with her brain.
Street smarter.
She's street smarter. That's
Yes.
right. Yeah. She lived in New York, Rachel.
Yeah, so she understands.
That's right. He tricks Britta into thinking he knows Spanish by spouting a bunch of Spanish words in no order or reason. It's just stuff that he knows is Spanish.
That's right.
Rachel, do you remember any of the phrases that he uses?
I mean, do you want me to say it in Spanish or do you want me to say the English version of what he said?
The English version.
Okay, he said, I sleep late, Spanish. 1 more hour. Do not scratch my car.
The one that's "do not scratch my car" seems racist for some reason.
Why?
Because why would he know that phrase in particular? Like, he thinks that he has to like say it in Spanish, like he knows it in Spanish. For some reason, it just makes it funnier to me.
I like it. Maybe
But Britta, of
somebody in
course-
Spanish, he doesn't know what they said, but somebody who speaks Spanish
Somebody
said it to him,
in Spanish,
and he's
yes.
just
so now
repeating
he
it.
just knows it.
Yes.
All right, I like that too. Britta, of course, does not know what he's saying because she's terrible at Spanish, and she's like, "I really need a tutor." And he is trying to say that he is actually a tutor. He's a certified tutor. He's put together a study group, and if she wants to come to this study room later on, like he'll give her a lesson and
Right.
stuff with the study group. She walks away, and he says something to one of the lunch ladies that's like just kind of walking through the cafeteria at the time, thinking that she's going to respond. He even says it. He's like, "Oh, you didn't get this. You didn't get this part in the
I
syndicated
don't remember
version."
that.
So
No, so
she
you have
walks
to
away.
explain it.
She walks away, and then he does like the TV trope thing of being like, "Guess that kind of worked," or something. And he says it to this lunch lady, who shows up in other episodes. And she's like, what? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And he says, like, I was raised on television. I just assumed that you were going to have a, you know, you were going to be able to respond.
And paying attention,
yeah, that you
I'm
were
the main
listening.
character.
Right. And even though, like, it's funny in itself, it speaks to Jeff's main character syndrome in
Yes.
thinking that this lunch lady is just listening to him because he's Jeff fucking Winger.
Right.
It works on two different levels of breaking down that television trope.
Oh, sure.
And Jeff, for all the shit he gives Abed, he also knows all the references that Abed makes throughout most of the series.
Right.
Because he is just a conduit of Abed. He just isn't on the spectrum and doesn't use it as a lens through the world like Abed does.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, one of the other things, too, is that he calls himself Jefe. And Jefe, I looked it up because I couldn't remember. For some reason, I was like, isn't that cow? And then I looked it up, and it's leader, like boss.
Oh, interesting.
So he calls himself the leader. Like, I think without realizing it, because I think he was just thinking he said, you know, Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it meant cow. I'm trying to remember what, like, I was like,
because you're thinking heifer?
Maybe. Maybe.
The lunch lady's also like an old black lady.
Okay.
So like part of the joke that Jeff says too is like, oh, I always just thought that like old black women are like psychic or something because of television. I can't remember exactly what
Oh,
he
because
says.
of Ghost.
Yes, because of
Whoopi
Ghost.
is psychic.
Because of Whoopi.
I can't think of anything else.
We come back in and Jeff is in he's opening the door to the set that we'll be in for the rest of Community, the study room. I was going to call it iconic, the iconic set of the study room. Britta comes in. Britta, of course, wearing those. I think she always is wearing those like boots, those like worker.
Oh yeah,
boots, not worker boots.
she's got like combat boots on, like all the time. Yeah, like those big. Clunky
That's part of the
boots.
appeal. That's part of the appeal to me, Rachel. Just the whole look.
Tank top,
Just saying.
vest of the time because all of us wore
or a
those vests in
leather jacket.
2000s.
Damn right.
Leather
Just
jacket,
works.
tight pants, big clunky boots.
All works. Mm-hmm. And she always scrunches her face.
She does
It's all-
scrunch her
It's all
face.
doing it for me.
Yeah.
Put a baseball cap on her. I'm there.
What is with you? You know what? Whatever.
Anyway, my point is, if we... I don't have a point. Britta comes in and Jeff has a contact sheet. So this is his cheap and lazy way of trying to get her number so that he can basically harass her.
Of course.
And Britta doesn't like small talk because like he's like, yo, like, you know, where are you from? Where are you here? You know, and she's just like, can we just get to business? Because Britta just wants to learn it so that she doesn't fail.
Right.
And
which is fair, which is understandable.
Britta gives her backstory that she dropped out of high school. She spent some time in the Peace Corps. She did some foot modeling.
I don't think this was in my cut either.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, she gives her background.
She just
yeah.
tells her bit about honesty in mine.
Okay, yeah, no, she gives her backstory that she dropped out of high school. She joined the Peace Corps. I wish I could remember the third thing because I only wrote down that she did the Peace Corps and foot modeling. Now she's
Some
back
money
here
in foot
trying
modeling, but like feet.
I just thought that it was funny. And she says that she likes honesty, and then she's like, "Okay, what's your deal?" So I like the original cut better because in your cut, Rachel, it makes it seem like Britta's onto him right away. You know, by saying like honesty, it's like, I know you're full of shit.
Right.
You know?
She just kind of expects him to be full of shit right away.
Yeah.
In that one, at least she kind of does go along with the small talk part and actually gives like a backstory to herself and is actually like playing into what he wants.
And knowing that he's got a thing for her already, or he's trying to get into her pants. It's not that he has a thing for her.
No, he has a thing
Let's say
for
he's trying
her.
to get into her pants.
Thing for her.
I think
That's
he
the same
develops
thing.
a thing for her.
It's the same thing.
Kind of. He actually is kind of honest because he says he'll say anything to get what he wants.
Yes.
So Britta is like, all right, fine. I like you then. Like, that was very
because
honest.
that was like one of the first truthful things that you've been like saying.
Abed walks in and
I love
Britta's
Abed.
like, hey, Abed!
Abed!
Yeah, she's like all excited to see him. Britta invited him.
Yes.
Jeff's like, all right, here's the contact list. And Abed starts writing down his information.
Well, instead of sitting in like any other chair around the table, He pulls a chair
Yes.
up right in between, so they're like
Yes.
squished, sandwiched in together. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I like that too, because he has no social awareness at all. We get our first cool.
Yes.
Because he does the cool.
Cool.
And the theme of the episode comes up, or at least what the writers and all the cast knew, that they were making something that was resembling the Breakfast Club.
Yep.
So they were like, fuck it, let's just
point
own
it out.
that. And they're like,
Breakfast Club.
you know what? This is a lot like the Breakfast Club.
Except, when did he say? Except not at breakfast or not during detention or something. There was something that he says. I think it was just like, she goes, "We are in a library," and then he goes, he's got a doozy in the chamber if it needs to come up, like the
Or if
honesty
it needs to get
thing.
emotional.
Yeah, if it
Yeah,
needs to get
yeah.
emotional, that's what it was. He says.
Jeff, in the meantime, while he's saying this, sends Abed a text.
I like how
And he
they're
says-
already on text basis. Like he's like, "No, you're useful. Let's exchange numbers." Like he already
No,
did
he got
that.
it. He got it from the contact sheet.
Oh, that's right. He just pulled
That's
it
why he
right
had
from there.
Abed-
That makes
yes,
a lot more
he had
sense.
Abed
You're right.
write it down.
It was right in front of him.
Yeah. That's why the text is like, it's Jeff. Like, we need to
Yes.
leave. Can I talk to you? Yeah.
Say you have to pee.
Yeah, say you have to pee. Say you have to pee. Say you have to pee. What does that mean? What does that mean? And Abed, of
And he
course,
like
does
shows
not get
it to her.
Yeah. He's more autistic in this than usual.
Yes.
I think it's okay to say it that way, right? I mean, he is autistic.
I think that's
like,
what they're
that
going
is the
for.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. While
He just doesn't. He's very
Abed
socially
is-
awkward. He just doesn't get the cue.
Yeah, exactly. While this is happening, Jeff gets a text or a call from Duncan that says to meet him on the football field. It might have been a text message. Abed, you didn't get this joke either, Rachel, which I really liked, because she does. Abed turns to Britta and says, you look a lot like Elizabeth Shue. She does. She looks a lot like Elizabeth Shue. Oh, come on. Karate Kid,
One,
Back
they
to the
didn't
Future.
say it. I didn't get that
The
again. I
Boys.
hate that I watched this version because you're going to be talking about all of those
I didn't know
lines,
that there was a...
and I don't have any of it.
I didn't know that there was a different one. I can't I can't believe that they put the syndicated one on and not the original, the Blu-ray cut.
No, she does look like Elizabeth Shue. Huh. It's true.
It doesn't show.
I don't know what I know her from, though.
The Boys, she's the first season. She's the director.
'Cause she's got that mouth, so I can like see her talking.
Karate Kid, she's in the sequels to Back to the Future.
Might be why.
Did you ever watch Hamlet 2?
No.
That's a stupid comedy that we could probably do one day. She's
That's
in
a
that.
stupid comedy. Oh, it's definitely Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I'm
Definitely.
old. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that mouth.
Elizabeth's true.
It's the mouth.
Yeah. Jeff goes to the football field with Duncan. And Duncan is asking Jeff if he knows the difference between right and wrong. And Jeff says, I've learned since I was very young that if I just talk long enough, anything can be true. It's such a prescient statement by Jeff Winger / Joel McHale saying
Truth
that.
is relative.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Truth is relative. So, like, right and wrong is relative. Truth is relative. That's this character's pathos at the beginning of this journey for him, where it's like it doesn't matter what's right or wrong. It doesn't matter what's true or false. All that matters is what I can make people believe.
Right.
Like, it's so egotistical.
Oh
and
yeah,
yet
we know a lot of
prescient for
people
our
like
times.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
We have leaders that are like that.
We have
I mean,
a lot of
it's fucking
them.
insane. They fight about whether or not to be able to give the answers to the test using psychology against each other. And Duncan's like, do you really think that you're going to use reverse psychology on a psychologist? That was a pretty good John Oliver, Rachel. You can admit it. It's fine. And
I can admit it.
And Joel McHale, Jeff is able to get Duncan to say he'll give him all the answers by teasing him, kind of
Yes.
calling him like a wimp.
Right.
Jeff comes back in.
I like the fact that he's trying to meet with him secretively too, because he's got like his trench coat on and they're just in the middle of the field and trying not to draw attention to themselves. Like at one point I figured they were going to meet in like the parking deck and it was going to be like him with a hat on and like trying to hide. That's what I was
it's the same
expecting.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should get progressively. If there was a third meeting, it would have gotten progressively like, you would have had it in the parking deck.
Absolutely.
Jeff comes back into the study room, and the rest of our group is there. They've all been invited. So Britta invited all these other people, or Abed invited them. We actually learned
they somehow heard about the study group.
Yeah, either from Abed or Britta. The only one that wasn't invited, we find out, was Annie. And the initial thought there was going to be that Annie is the sourpuss. Mm-hmm. She's the one that like doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be left really out. Go that route. Yeah, but she's just the one that like doesn't want to be left out and like is so uptight that she's like, we have to, we're gonna be together or whatever. Like I could use some help, or like I just want to make sure that like everyone else is getting like I'm not missing out on anything. They kind of dropped that she would be the one to like tattle on them or something like that.
Yeah, because that would be weird.
Troy calls Jeff Seacrest because
of course.
For those that are fans of The Soup, you will note that Joel McHale would make fun of Ryan Seacrest constantly on that show.
Oh, yes.
So you got to keep it up here.
Yes. It's fantastic.
And each character gets this little bit in, these like a line or two that kind of showcases their personalities, or at least their starting points on the journey as well. It kind of like goes around the table and you get an idea based on what all of them say. Like Shirley says something about she's available until like 10 o'clock. She has a babysitter, and Pierce says something, and Abed says something. Like it's so well done, and it's so precise and like quick.
Yes.
That it just, you get the beat right away.
Right. Pierce questions like, you're the tutor, right? And then Troy is just like, yeah, because you're going to do my homework for me. And then that's when Shirley says, right. like, I'm going to have a babysitter. I can't be here like that long. And Annie then questions him, like, what makes you certified? Like, I don't believe this.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So again, it's very, very, very solid, quick writing. It gives you an idea of what each one of these people are like just by like that little bit. And it makes it so that you have a little bit of what each one is there for or doing. The only one that's not in the room is Britta, and
she
Jeff
left.
Abed's like she left. We don't know where she went. I was thinking in my head like, oh, did Britta bail? Did she like realize that something was up, so she bailed? And Jeff thinks the same thing, so he's like, I'll be right back. I've got to go to the bathroom or whatever.
But I'm going to take all of my stuff with me.
I'm going to take my coat and my keys with me, and I'll be right back.
Quick line of Troy going, I'm going to leave my homework here with Slumdog Millionaire.
Yes, I forgot that. Yeah.
Yes.
Referring to Abed,
yes.
I assume.
Well, no, I thought it was Annie.
I thought it was Pierce, but yeah.
Okay.
Jeff, Britta assumedly catches him trying to leave because she stops him like as he's trying to leave the building, and she's like, busted. And you think it's her talking about him for a second, but then it subverts it, and she's like, I'm a smoker, and she's like smoking a cigarette. She's like, oh, I'm trying to quit, and blah, blah, blah. So she hasn't caught him yet. She hasn't caught on, but Jeff, he has to go back now. But Jeff tells her that he thinks that this group is untutorable. Doesn't really give a reason. He just thinks that
no reason whatsoever. Just untutorable. That's it.
Untutorable.
Can't do it.
Britta's like, oh, give him a shot. And Jeff tries to get them to all introduce themselves. So Pierce, of course, goes like, I think I could start this. I'm a Toastmaster. And he says like, all right, we think we got all their names. You got Brittle, Arab,
yeah, he's the one
Arab.
trying to give everybody. He's trying.
I'm also a Toastmaster, so perhaps I should do the introduction.
Definitely.
All right, you already know Brittles.
Britta?
Abed the Arab. Is that inappropriate? Sure. Roy the Wonder Boy.
Troy.
Little Princess Elizabeth.
Annie.
And finally, this beautiful creature, his name's Shirley.
Is that even close?
He got it right. Like she's so upset that he got it right.
Pierce's humor is purposely like ridiculously like offensive
yes.
and like
absolutely
boomer oriented.
Yes. Very offensive, man.
I wonder if you'd be able to do it now without people thinking like, oh my God, like shocking, like how can they do that? But it's like he's the butt of the joke.
Yes.
The joke is that he is ignorant.
He's the idiot.
Yeah, and that everyone is like, you're a moron.
He's so offensive that everybody's just like, oh God, this guy. You know,
yeah,
that's all it is.
I'm sure there's idiots out there that would like think that Pierce is the hero or something, and it's like, can we just fucking ignore
sad.
those people and be able to like have these buffoons like this and not just ignore these types of characters or comedy? Like that would be the way to go,
right?
If we wanted to like continue. Anyway,
this beautiful creature is named Shirley. Like he says it really creepy. And she
Right,
just looks
right.
so uncomfortable
Yeah, because he's hitting on Shirley.
constantly.
We learned that Annie just showed up, that she wasn't actually invited, but she could use some extra tutoring too. And Jeff decides that he's going to show them like how untutorable they can be, and because the Brita face,
Yes.
she does a lot of Gillian Jacobs does a lot of Billie Piper face acting as Brita
Yeah.
throughout the series. Would you not say that, Rachel?
No, she is. She's very expressive. I understand because I know I'm also very expressive. As you guys know here on the podcast, you can tell how expressive
Yes,
I am.
we see all of her
Yeah.
emotions and stuff.
But she is very expressive.
It adds to the character, in my opinion, because she's kind of
Yes.
goofy and aloof
Yes.
at times, so it works
Right.
for Britta. Britta's in this. Still, one of my favorite jokes of all time is the dean going, "Oh, Britta's in this."
Oh my god.
It's gonna be a while before we get to that one, but it's gonna
be a while
be worth
before we
it.
get to a lot of them. Because, like, I always say, is this a bit? Every time.
Oh my god! And that's from the same episode, isn't it?
I think
It's a good fucking episode. Where are we?
In the first 10 minutes of the show.
Well, we had to establish everything.
I know.
So Jeff instigates them by starting them all fighting against each other. We learn about Shirley and Annie a bit. He's pitting them against each other.
Yes.
By picking on Annie's age and Shirley's age, because Shirley's like probably in her like 40s and has kids and stuff, and Annie is straight out of high school. Shirley is, because Annie says something about like, like young people or like, and adults and all this stuff, and Shirley goes back and says, children get pity, but adults get respect. And if you don't give adults respect, you get a head in a box. And she like says something like very like specific about threatening to Annie. Gives you a lot of information you need about Shirley.
Yes.
Pierce
She's a bit of a
tries-
fuse. She has a fuse. A little hot-headed. Yeah.
Oh,
So is
Yvette
Annie,
Nicole
though.
Brown,
I feel like both of them are hot-headed.
yes,
Honestly.
in different ways.
Yes.
No, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yvette Nicole Brown as Shirley is so
She's-
funny.
I love her.
I mean,
She's
everyone in
fantastic.
everyone in the show is perfect as their characters.
Yes.
They absolutely are. But just like hearing that, like, I'm gonna put your head through a box, is just so like out of left field.
Because she looks like, and she does act like the sweetest woman. And then all of a
Right,
sudden she's
yeah.
just like, I'm
And
about
just
to
on a
pound
dime.
your ass. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
yes, I love this.
Pierce tries to
faces
touch.
through jukeboxes. That's the
Yes,
box. That's
yes.
the box you're talking about.
Britta is realizing something's not right because Jeff keeps instigating this stuff, and Britta
Yes.
is like, "Are you sure this is like the right thing to do? Like, what
Yeah,
are you
because
doing?"
he's like,
You're
let's talk about that. Let's talk about this weird thing.
They call it harassment. Like even like Troy is like, "Dude, you are definitely harassing her."
Right.
And Pierce says, "Why would I harass someone who turns me on?" It's another like just against the
courting.
boomers. Yeah, and he tells Troy, "Why would I take courting advice from this like kid?"
Yeah, because like Troy's just like, you are like what you just said is harassment.
Yes,
You idiot.
Annie gets offended because Troy doesn't remember her because they went to the same high school. I sat behind you, or like we went to the same, like we were in the same grade, like we went to the same classes and stuff.
Yeah.
And that
Then he does
triggers-
remember her.
Yeah, that sparks Troy, and he's like, "You're little Annie Adderall." So like,
It's like,
he
do you
remembers
really
that.
want him to remember you?
Because Annie's backstory is that she, of course, was too ambitious for her own good as a high school student. She's a high school student straight out of a Netflix rom-com, right? She wants to go to an Ivy League school, and she needs to be the best at everything.
Right.
So she overdoes herself.
Smartest and
but
best.
In order to do that, she developed an Adderall
Addiction.
addiction and didn't graduate, or of course, like didn't get to go to the college she wanted to. So now she has to go to Greendale so that she could try to transfer out later.
Yes.
And then we learn what Troy's backstory is. He dislocated both shoulders. He was a football player and he was going to get a full ride, but he dislocated both shoulders trying to do a keg stand.
Keg flip.
It was not a keg stand. It was a keg flip. It's very difficult.
You gotta make sure you get it right. You gotta make sure.
As they're doing this, Abed just slams his fist on the table and does the full-on Bender speech from Breakfast Club, to the point where Jeff just goes, "Well, that that actually
That's
was
from
from
Breakfast
the
Club.
Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club is on the list. Rachel has hot takes about that movie. We'll definitely talk about it one day
It'll
on
be fun.
this podcast.
It'll be interesting.
Duncan calls Jeff at this moment to go to the parking lot.
I
And
guess
Jeff
that is
tells-
the parking deck, kind of idea.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah.
The parking deck would have been better. I
It
agree.
really would have. Because he does a weird
But
voice, too. That doesn't work.
They want... Yes, he does. He tries to... He's like, I'm Professor
I'm
Duncan.
doing a
And it's like,
voice.
yeah, I'm doing a voice so that I cover it up. Yeah. Which, of course, it isn't at all. You wouldn't have gotten that funny visual, though, of Jeff being in this little European
Tiny car?
and
Yeah.
it's like 6'5" Joel McHale.
It's great. You're right.
As he leaves, he tells the group to hash everything out. Britta looks concerned because she is starting to put together that something's wrong. Mm-hmm. Duncan has this little British eco-friendly car for 2009.
It's hilarious. It's so tiny.
And he gives all of the answers to the test in an envelope to Jeff. But in
Yes.
exchange, he wants Jeff's car. And Jeff has a Lexus because he's a lawyer. He's a very important man.
Right.
And Jeff, of course, being all about status, does not want to give up this car. But he's desperate, and he eventually agrees, and he gives Duncan his keys. And Duncan gives him the keys to this little car that doesn't even fit it.
This is not how a man's supposed to get around.
Yes, that is the line he uses. Britta approaches Jeff before they go back into the study room, and you see like all of them arguing in the background. It's a kind of it's a neat shot. It's very cinematic that they're like in the foreground talking and doing the over the shoulder with Britta and Jeff, but in the background when you're over the shoulder with Britta, you see all of them like just shouting at
bit
each
of
other.
chaos. Yes.
Britta is upset that this is a complete disaster. She kind of puts together that this is a game to Jeff.
Right.
That for Jeff, this is just like, I wonder if I can like make all these people fight each other.
But she realizes it's to get into her pants as well.
Yes. She says like, this was just a game to get into my pants. And Jeff goes, why can't you see that for the compliment that it is? Because in his
Why
mind,
can't you
it
see
is.
that for the scumminess that it is?
But that's
I think he
that's
does.
that like mentality. Like he's such a smarmy man that he really does think like, no, that's a compliment. Like you should be honored that I think that way.
It's that alpha man mentality. Ugh.
He admits to Britta that he lied, and then tells her that she looks like Elizabeth Shue. Did you get that? You probably didn't get him saying that you look like Elizabeth Shue, so that it is a callback to when Abed said it.
She
And I
said
bet you
something
didn't
about
get
being the
either of them.
Barack Obama of the room.
The Barack Obama of the room?
Yes.
I don't remember that line at all.
Okay, hold on. Go in there and clean up your mess. Okay, I am the Barack Obama of this room.
I don't remember that. Yeah.
If I do that, then dinner.
As they're walking back in, he goes like, you look a lot like Elizabeth Shue.
I don't think that comes up.
He does think that if he agrees to clean up the mess, she'll go to dinner with him. So like she agrees, or he thinks that she agrees to go to dinner with him if he cleans up the mess.
Well, she's going to start playing the game. That's what she is doing.
Jeff yells to get them all to stop shouting, and he gives a speech, which they said in the commentary that Joel McHale memorized this front to back because they wanted to do it all in one shot because the Russos wanted to again make it cinematic. So he
kind of
like,
makes sense though.
It's a long speech to
Yeah,
like
it
remember
is.
all of like the little things. He asks what the difference between humans and animals are, and he says that humans observe Shark Week because I feel like this was illustrating that if he just keeps talking, much like I do on this show,
It's just a
eventually
filibuster.
you make a point. Yeah,
Sure.
eventually you get there, and that's all you're going for. He says that people can connect with anything because he picks up a pencil and he says, like, if I tell you that this pencil's name is Steve, and then he breaks it, he goes, like, a little piece of you dies.
And they all
because-
go,
yeah, you feel empathy for things for no apparent reason. Like, there's no reason for you to feel empathy for it, but people do. It feels like Dan Harmon is, like, giving his thesis statement on people and communities as he's doing this. Mm-hmm. He says that people can even give Ben Affleck an Oscar for screenwriting. And they all agree that, like, that doesn't
that
make
was a
any
horrible
sense.
idea. Big mistake.
Jeff says that he can't admit that he's awesome because that would make him look like an ass. But he can say that all of them have value to this study group. Annie is driven. Pierce has wisdom. Shirley has respect as a woman. Troy thinks that he's arrogant and like a jock, but the reason that astronauts all go to space is so that they can impress their high school quarterback.
That was the line? I don't remember that line.
Yeah, it's something like that.
But I saw that it was Troy thinks that he is all of that, but maybe he is.
Yeah.
But does he go on to say something about an astronaut? Because I don't remember the astronaut part.
Astronauts don't do all of that work and don't go into space for anything. They go because they're trying to impress their high school quarterback. Yeah.
Not in my part.
It's so weird, the cuts that they made to this episode to get it.
It's so
I bet
confusing.
It being a pilot, it was slightly longer than the 22-minute standard. It was like 28 or whatever.
Okay.
So like maybe that's why they had to cut these
it's
things.
It's just so weird because it's throwing me off. I want the long cut. I always have the long cut, and I have the short, and I don't like it.
That's right. Here at Shelf Life, we don't believe in shortcuts. Unless you really need to listen to the shortcuts, then fine. But you should listen to the long cuts, and then you can listen to the shortcuts.
As a rerun.
The first season of The Simpsons, when we didn't know what the hell we were doing, the shortcuts, probably the way to go.
Probably.
Oh, it's to impress the prom king. My apologies, not the high school quarterback. But astronauts are just trying to impress the prom king. He tells them all, look at the person sitting next to you.
Oh, you didn't talk about passing the salt. I guess you weren't going down the whole line of everybody.
I don't remember what the pass.
He said you'd ask Abed to pass the salt, and he's going to give you soup because soup is better.
I think because he's saying that Abed will give you like a giant speech in a mile if you ask one little question.
Right.
Or he says, look at the person to your left, and they all turn
left,
so
and then they all turn left.
Yeah. He's like, I mean, look at the person sitting next to you. And he tells them to give the same compassion that you give sharks, pencils, and Ben Affleck to each other. And they all forgive each other.
Oh, you just stopped being a study group. And you become something unstoppable. A community.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that's Shirley. Nice.
It's our first "Oh, that's Shirley. Nice" from Shirley.
It's wonderful.
You've just stopped being a study group. You've become something unstoppable. I hereby pronounce you a community.
Oh, that's nice.
This isn't like Breakfast Club anymore. Now it's like Stripes or Meatballs, anything with Bill Murray, really.
So we got the title drop of Community here, Rachel. And
that's right.
I didn't even remember that happened. Jeff kind of calls them a community, so it's a double meaning, I guess, for the rest of the series, that they're at a community college, but this is like their little
community. Yeah.
Britta says she lied. I'm not going out to dinner with you. I lied. And pulls the rug out on Jeff. And tells the whole group that Jeff is not really a tutor, and he did all of this to try to break this group up.
Yes.
And that he was trying to get into my pants.
Yes.
And that he's nothing but a lying creep. That's what they call him. And Jeff says, well, being a lying creep gave me all the answers on the test. And he like shows off the envelope saying that he has all the answers and he doesn't need this anymore.
Yeah, he actually like tells everybody, I made this whole thing up.
Yeah, I made this whole thing up. And like this isn't a real study group or anything like that. So like right after he like brings them all like together, he feels like, well, fuck it. If Britt is not going to sleep with me, then I'm not going to even bother with this anymore. I like that it all comes out in this episode. A typical prototypical show would have had this been like the year-long arc, where like when they eventually find out that like
that he lied and this wasn't a real group, right? This was just right up front.
Right up front, he's a scumbag. He's a jerk. He lied to you. We learn that in the first episode. He says that in the real world he was a lawyer, and they're all like,
that makes
they all like grumble.
Well, he's a lawyer.
Yeah, like they're all like, okay, that makes sense.
Stereotypical lawyer.
As Jeff leaves, because Jeff like just kind of storms out, Abed says that he's not like Bill Murray. He's more like Michael Douglas. And Jeff goes, yeah, well, you have Asperger's.
And then Troy laughs, Asperger's.
Asperger's. And I like this little exchange here. It's very community, because Annie is like, that is a very serious condition. And Pierce goes, well, if it was so serious, why didn't they call it meningitis? And then he starts laughing, and they both just laugh about just
stupid
Asperger's.
words.
Jeff opens up the envelope while he's leaving, and it's nothing but blank pages, and the last page just says booyah on it, because Duncan had said something booyah earlier in the episode.
So it's his whole gotcha.
Duncan is drinking wine in his office, and Jeff storms in, and he's like, I've taught you a very important lesson. The tool, and this is where he says the tools you learned out there you can't get them at Greendale.
Right.
You have to do something different. Jeff goes, why do people keep trying to teach me stuff?
Well, you're at school.
And then I thought that this next thing was prescient because like he threatens Duncan and Duncan throws him the keys back from Alexis. Jeff leaves and he's distraught because he's like, I'm gonna fucking fail Spanish at this community college. This next little part though, kind of a foreshadowing of what would end up happening seasons from now on Community, even after Chevy Chase left the show.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice that it's Pierce as the one that approaches Jeff first.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, and maybe it's because of the stuff that I know about, like the backstage issues that they had, or because of what happens in like season 5 or whatever when Chevy leaves the show. Because something very similar happens in that, Rachel. I don't know if you would remember that. When Chevy left the show and they killed him off because Dan Harmon and him like didn't get along. Jeff is gonna like leave the school, but Pierce has donated money to the school to make a hologram of himself talking about how much he loves Greendale.
Yeah.
And Chevy did like agreed to do like a send off of his character.
Sure.
So it's a hologram talking about like how much Greendale means to him, and like Jeff decides to stay. It's kind of nice that it's in the
like,
same spot.
It's like the same idea.
So it's like paralleling it there with this, where like Pierce kind of stops him and he says, Jeff, you remind me a lot of me when I was young. I've been divorced 7 times.
7.
I just keep thinking I must be doing something wrong. and Jeff goes, yeah, you keep getting married.
Which is probably true for Pierce.
For Pierce, it definitely is.
Yeah.
This whole thing speaks to Pierce's character quite a bit, that he like can't keep a marriage. He's fallen ass backwards into money because when he introduces himself at the table, he talks about how he's Pierce Hawthorne. He's the heir to the Hawthorne Wipes Company. Like they make like monk wipes. What are those called?
Monk?
He would have made a killing
wipes?
during the pandemic. I thought it was more like
wipes?
hand wipes. That was more like what it was, not like baby wipes. Maybe it's both.
Same idea. It's just like
You think
like
the
cleaner?
Hawthorne...
I mean, it's for your hands. It's going to be like something that's at least delicate, more probably like a baby wipe versus like a cleaner wipe.
Yeah, but it was definitely like for your hands, like that kind of like disinfecting wipe type
Sure,
thing.
like a sanitizer of some sort.
That Hawthorne company probably made a ton of money in 2020. Troy comes in and he sits down next to them because Jeff has like sat on the stoop or on the steps.
On the stairs.
And Troy says like, let me ask you something. Because like now I can't tell if Troy is kind of like seeing Jeff as like, okay, this is like the older guy that was a lawyer. He had his stuff put together. So he's like truly asking him, or if he's like kind of playing along into it as well. But he's like, ever since I got here, because he's wearing his Leatherman's jacket, he's saying people have been telling me to like take off the jacket. It's like embarrassing that I'm like still wearing it and stuff. Troy says that he can't take the jacket off because if he takes the jacket off, it's going to make him look weak because he's going to be giving up that piece of himself that made him popular.
Oh, okay.
Jeff says it doesn't matter what you do because if you lose the jacket to please them or you keep it on to piss them off, either way, it's weak because you're doing it for them.
Maybe that's why he wears the sweatpants then.
Oh, maybe. It's actually like interestingly good advice when like, yeah, Jeff, I guess, does everything for himself, but he also is super about projection. So it's like he's not listening to his own advice sometimes, probably, because he's all about status symbols and things like that.
But
and
that whole conversation wasn't in mine. All Troy said was, it got boring in there after you left.
Oh,
that was it.
Yeah. Troy says it got, and that's why he says like he came out to like
that's all. But that's all he says. There's no conversation. I like that there's a little bit more back and forth there, and an actual like, okay, you have something to respect because you just gave me advice that's actually like useful. Yeah,
because all that Troy was doing was like, well, you were exciting, and I'm kind of a washout anyway here.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he actually gives him that advice, and Troy even goes, "You just wrinkled my brain," which I think Donald Glover says quite a bit on the show.
Because it's not smooth-brained anymore; it's wrinkled. It's like you made him smarter.
The rest of the group comes out and shows the group that he doesn't have the answers, which is symbolic as well as literal. Like he doesn't have all the answers.
Right.
Is what he's saying. which is what you would say if you literally are like gave advice to somebody and you were like, I don't really have all the answers. I don't know what I'm doing. It's Jeff admitting to himself that he doesn't know what he's doing, that he's not all that. Like, there's a piece of him that realizes that he's not the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of admitting that to this group of people. I can't remember which one of them, if it's Abed or Troy. One of them says that he must be smart. He has a sport coat.
I don't remember. It definitely is Troy or Abed. I'm
It's gotta
guessing
be
Troy.
Abed. It sounds like a Troy line.
Right.
Yeah. Folks at home, correct us. Jeff says that being smart means that he got to go through life without having to work for it. Everything that he's been able to do, he just does. He doesn't have to work for anything. So he doesn't know how to.
Yes.
And then I do love this part where they're all...
This is great.
They all are miming to each other about whether or not to
like
let him
mouthing
in the study
things like,
group.
oh, come on, like, he's sad, like, oh, look, and like they're not saying anything, and
They're not saying
Abed
anything.
notices this, and he's just like watching them like, what are they doing?
What's going on? Can you guys hear me? Am I deaf? Can you hear me talking right now? Yes? That's good.
What's going on? Can you hear me? Am I deaf?
It's great.
It's very funny.
It's so good.
And then Britta, because Britt is the one that's like, no, we cannot let him study. He's scum.
Right.
But Britt is like,
he's so gross.
We can all study together. Like, we'll study with you.
Mm-hmm.
And Abed says back to Jeff and says, you know, Jeff, I see the value in you now. Which he actually means. He actually is saying, like, he actually sees him as a friend versus, like, the usable part that Jeff was saying. And Jeff says, that's the nicest thing anyone said to me. Which is almost, you almost feel like he probably forgot that he even said that to Abed.
Yeah, he also says sorry for calling him Michael Douglas.
I thought that was good, too. There's a lot of good little lines that we have not covered in this.
Yeah, there's
just
so
a
many.
lot of,
it's just quick
they're very
and
quick.
It's everywhere.
They come,
and
100 miles an hour.
I'll try to point out the ones that are fun.
Absolutely. It's you just don't want a podcast where we're just going, hey, do you remember when he said that? Do you
and
remember
then
when he said
this
that?
line.
Yeah, that's just not as fun. It's more fun to break down the intricacies of the character. A cover of Don't You Forget About Me by the 88 plays to tie it all together because the cast and crew was like, oh my God, are people just going to compare this to The Breakfast Club? And it's like, no, just be upfront about that.
Just let them.
Just let them. Like,
we want it.
Say it's The Breakfast Club. To the point where it ends with an in memoriam of John Hughes, which I forgot that he died that long ago, but this must have been around when he died. You can see the influence on that, and John Hughes would definitely have been someone that had that same kind of stylistic joke telling that Dan Harmon does, you know?
I could see that.
And that is the end of the pilot for Community. So all the characters are together. Yeah, August 6, 2009. So it was literally a month after he died that the pilot showed. So it actually was very fitting.
It really was. It was almost like a tribute.
Came out. Yeah, and then, like, not even, like, intentionally because of when he died. A kismet, a little bit there, that now you have this show with these kind of characters here. That is the end of the pilot of Community. Our group is together, and they're going to go on a bunch of adventures with each other. Rachel, what did you think of the pilot?
I really liked the way they kind of brought all of the characters together. It feels like how you were describing how all of the actors came together. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
They were invited and they said sure, and then they showed up, which was great. And then they're all a bunch of different people with different perspectives and funny in their own way, which is great. And they have like some good lines, so it's just really interesting. I like the setup so far of Greendale, where it just feels like regular old, community college. But at the same time, you know that there's something weird underneath it. So I enjoy it. I think it's very fun. It's like a fun little setup for everything.
It's a very good, understated pilot.
For a pilot.
We've watched pilots on this where we're like, okay, the framework is there.
They haven't figured it out yet. No, they know who they are.
They're not... Yeah. The tone will change. They will find out what they can do in this setting and with this world differently.
Yes.
But they know what the structure is or the writing is. They know what the characters, they have a start to these characters better than a lot of the pilots that we've discussed on the show.
Right.
It kind of hooks you in.
It does.
It's very simple. There's not a lot of plot to this story at all.
No, but I kind of like that.
The characters just kind of give their backstory is most of this, and it's like 3 little scenes in the study room. But it works really well. The characters are very well written. The jokes could be on this podcast with the number of references and tiebacks to everything that they talk about. I've talked about my distaste for binge watching. I hate binge watching. I want to anticipate the next thing to come. I just like doing that. This is one of those shows that for some reason I feel like you can watch 2 to 3 back to back. And it's just...
Yes.
It's a snowy day with soup, and you can watch fucking Community,
it feels
and you can watch like 3 or 4 of them. And
I
it's
agree.
Doesn't bother me like it does with some of the other stuff. And it's easier to do that with stuff that I haven't seen before. It's easier to binge watch stuff that you have seen before.
Yes.
Because you already know. So it's like, what's the difference? I don't have to anticipate it. I know what's coming. But still, you can just kind of keep going with Community for some reason.
It hooks you in,
a lot of it is that simpleness.
Yes, it's simple, it's shorter, and then it also, like you said, hooks you in so that you're like, oh, okay, this is enjoyable. I want to keep that enjoyment going.
So I just wrote like, damn, this show was my like last notes on this, because I was just like, man, I did not recall the pilot being that kind of solid of a state with the characters, or just kind of a solid setup. But it's a very good understated pilot for sure. Coming up, we will start the fall semester with our first class. It is Spanish 101. So Rachel and I are going to find that classroom.
Exciting.
We are going to get there hopefully before the bell
gotta get a good
rings, and
seat.
when we come back, we will discuss Spanish 101
Yes.
after the break.
How does Greendale rate? I give it straight A's.
Easy. All A's.
Straight A's for sure.
And we've earned those high marks. Each A represents a category in which we excel. Let's take a look at the 5 A's of Greendale's report card. Accessibility, affordability, air conditioning, awesome new friends, and a lot of classes. Greendale will blow your mind and your body. Won't you get to know us better?
Greendale Community College. You're already accepted.
And we're back with the second episode of Community, the community college. Rachel, we will continue to go through the class catalog here and decide what classes we're taking. I will remind you and our listeners what we discussed in Volume 5 when we were talking about, I think I brought it up in like Parks and Rec. Not that this is going to happen, not that we have to execute on it, just reminding you that if we ever need to do this for the episodes that, or for the TV shows that are not Shelf Life Selects, that we have given ourselves the opportunity. If we watch one of these where we're doing the whole thing and we go, there's not enough to walk through this episode, it's not worth it. If both you and I turn our keys,
we do have that.
we don't have to do the walkthrough. We can just
We do that,
talk about the
yeah.
highlights, things that we liked or not liked, and move on. So I'm just throwing that out there
forgot
just in
about
case
that.
we stumble upon a mediocre
I'm glad you reminded me.
episode. Oh, Rachel's glad I reminded her. Interesting.
Well, I forgot. You never know. You never know that's going to
that's
come
why
up.
I'm reminded. That's why I'm reminding you.
No, I'm glad.
Because
Thank you.
there could be ones in
There could be
Community for
garbage.
sure.
You don't know.
Yeah. And we're not talking, like, if it's downright garbage,
We might still
we'll
be able to
walk
talk
through
about it. Yeah.
But if it's mediocre, and it's just like, this is kind of filler, we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, if it's boring, that's one
Like
thing.
the turtles with the hot rodders from outer. We had to
That
talk
could
about
have been.
that.
Yeah, you're right.
We had to. It was so
We
bad.
had to. It was so bad.
But there was probably an episode or two of like Parks and Rec or Seinfeld or The Simpsons, even in the first season, where we would have been like, I mean, like some of those Simpsons we only talked about for like 20 minutes. And like, could you imagine us? Like, come on, like we could.
You're making me feel like I
have.
have to do a re-edit of that one. I apologize
No.
if you listen to that entire thing. I don't actually apologize. Thank
don't
you.
have to
Thank you for
apologize.
listening to it.
You grew with us. You learned and grew with us. Rachel, all of the Community episodes are titled after different classes that you can take. So I would say that every time we cover an episode, we're going to a different class. We're going to audit a different class. So Rachel, what class are we auditing next?
But what was our first class?
Well, the pilot. So this is actually our first class, I guess, that we're
I see
auditing.
what you're saying.
Now that we've been admitted into Greendale, so now we're auditing our first class.
That's true. Okay.
What was our first class?
I thought you
No,
meant
I'm
when
just-
because we were looking at the actual list. I thought you were like
That
we were
is true.
picking one, and then I was like,
You're right.
what did we pick before? Because I'll pick one because they're ridiculous.
I picked ladders, but I don't remember what else.
I think I picked antics.
That's right.
So our next class is Spanish 101.
Correct. Spanish 101, which makes sense. It's this place where you have to start because it's a Spanish study group, and we know that
That's
they're
right.
taking Spanish.
Exactly.
So that's where you're starting. This episode aired on September 24th, 2009, written by Dan Harmon and directed by Joe Russo. Rachel, what happens in Spanish 101?
Our now newly community-driven study group goes to class and has to pair up to do a project.
Yeah, they're given their first assignment.
Yes.
So let's get right into it. This is Spanish 101. The episode begins with Dean Pelton giving some updates on the class catalog via the PA system. He's talking about different classes that they can take. He ends it by saying, "Whoever is throwing some cannabis behind the gym, you've been given a prize. Come into the dean's office." The first three episodes, in fact, yeah, you want a cruise. The first three episodes, in fact, they're talking about how you can still like apply or sign up for classes, and like these are the different classes you can take. I kind of like Abed says it in a minute, because Abed's like, I like these announcements. It's like a TV show where they're outlining what's gonna like what the plot of the episode could be, because like this is what's going on in the timeline. Yes. Which is what their function is. So of course Abed would like them, and it makes sense because it kind of gives you an idea of where we're at. Jeff parks in the faculty parking lot.
Yes, he does. He steals a faculty sticker to do so.
Steals a faculty sticker,
or like the little thing that goes inside. Mm-hmm. Like who leaves their car open so that they can take that? Like, come on.
Well, it's just the window was rolled down far enough that he was able to get his hand in there. Yeah, I know. It was dumb. Like, why would like
that seems
something's getting
goofy.
stolen from your car.
Yes, and you're on a campus too. Like, come on.
There's a lot of scumbags on a campus. We watched Animal House, and this is Greendale. The dean says over
there's
the PA
a person
system
throwing cannabis behind the building. We just
they're in Colorado. 2009, it probably was still illegal. I don't think. When did Colorado legalize it? It's like a decade ago.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah,
I still don't think it's allowed on campus. There's no way that's allowed on campus.
Maybe not on campus. Yeah, you're right. Not on campus. Okay,
not on
fair.
school grounds.
The dean over the PA system says that they've gotten feedback about the morning announcements. Some want the volume lowered. Some think it's pointless. That's good. It's a good joke. They are discussing the fact that Jeff is frequently late to the study group.
But like they won't do anything until he's there.
I think
it's almost like
that.
That's like main character syndrome right there. Like they're waiting for the main character to show up so they can actually do stuff.
I would say it's more that they just don't want someone from the group to be left out, because then they'd have to like either catch them up or something. So it wouldn't matter which one of them was late. They would like always wait.
Okay.
But then when he shows up and they're all like, "Oh, Jeff is here," and he like goes around like giving a greeting to like each one of them. So it's probably more the latter, but I could see where it could be the former. Annie says that they can talk to Jeff about his tardiness, and Pierce says, "Don't use that word around Abed."
But maybe when Jeff gets here, we could talk to him as a group about his tardiness.
Oh, come on now. Don't use that word around Abed.
What did he mean?
Tardy, Rachel? Like shorten that a little bit.
I got it. Thank you. Okay. I just kept thinking, oh, he's trying to be a good guy, and
well, he is, but he's doing it in his Pierce
such an
way.
Asshole. Like
that humor, though.
I kept thinking it was
like,
gonna be something racist, and I was just like, I didn't catch it.
It's ableist, I suppose.
Yeah.
But that kind of humor where it's like that offbeat.
Yes.
And you can go from point A to point B in your mind. They're not directly saying it.
Yes.
But you understand the joke. You understand the buffoonery of Pierce. You understand the buffoonery of his like bigotry or ableism or whatever.
All of it. All the isms. He does all of the isms.
Yeah,
He's the ism man.
That's the kind of humor I like. That kind of humor because it's very quick. It's very funny. It's under the radar. If you don't catch it, you don't catch it.
It's a bit dark, which is fun. We like
it's
that.
Dark. It reminds me of The Simpsons. You could see that joke coming out of Homer and, Flanders or something.
Yeah, I could see that.
Troy doesn't have his Letterman's jacket on anymore, so he might have decided to only wear it sparingly or get rid of it. I thought that meant he decided to get rid of it, but then he's wearing it later on in the episode, so he can't quite pull away from it.
Doesn't want to get rid of that identity just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like he
Britta
peaked.
tells.
I bet he feels like he peaked.
Oh, he definitely feels like he peaked because that's all he thought he was known for, was being the popular football player,
right?
And he was going to go to college for that, which is also funny because Donald Glover. I can't talk because I'm short as shit. But Donald Glover is short as shit. Okay,
he could do something. Maybe he has a really good throw.
He might be a safety
he
or
might
a running
be
back
great.
or something.
He could kick. He could kick with the best of them. I don't know.
They make it seem like he was the quarterback.
That's
maybe.
what I'm like. That's why I'm like. So maybe he really had a good a freaking tank of an arm. I don't know.
He's built like a fucking a stallion.
That's
so
right.
That is also true.
That's all you need.
Britta tells them all not to obsess over a guy who doesn't care about them, like if he doesn't care about you. And then she goes on this tirade about how journalists are being murdered. I forgot that this all was part of this episode because I just haven't watched these in a long time. So I was like, oh, this is just Britta going on her first tirade about some injustice in the world. And I didn't realize it was just going to be part of the plot.
Actual story.
Yeah. I was like, where's the punchline? I was waiting for the punchline to it because I was like, okay, this is just setting up for Pierce to say something racist or something. But she talks about how journalists are being murdered in Guatemala, and Abed tries to compare it to television.
Yes, but
and
then Shirley is like, wait a minute, you jumped a column here. What's happening in Guatemala? She's actually curious and interested.
Oh,
in
yeah.
It. Yeah.
I think that they view Britta as more worldly.
Yes,
than
so
themselves.
she's actually going to know more on what's going on in the
Mm-hmm.
actual world.
Yeah,
Sure.
Annie thinks she's young. Annie knows that she's kind of young, so she wants to know more and thinks that Britta has real life experience.
And Shirley's a bit
yeah, she's focused on her family.
Yes.
She tells Abed that TV and life are different, but as she does this, Jeff walks in to applause like he walked into a sitcom.
Yep.
And he greets the group, like I said, one by one, different ways for each person. And it's this spinning camera shot, so you can tell that the Russos are trying to do this cinematic stuff with Community still, because it's a one-shot spinning around the table. I'm sure it was very complicated to do. And it's where they said, it doesn't always work for comedy because it's so much harder to get the timing down, because you have to get the camera right. The actors have to hit the spot and say the line,
Right.
and if the actor in a comedy is trying to say the line to make it funny via comedic timing, at the same time you're doing the camera work, it can be very difficult for it to come off as a joke.
Yes.
But I think that's kind of the tone of Community, though. It kind of works for it.
Right.
So.
It's there's parts where it's it feels like it's meant to be a little sloppy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has a charm to it because it's not
pristine. Yeah, it's not perfect. Mm-hmm.
Like a community college. Jeff sits down and Britta is saying that the group has something they want to talk to him about, and they really recant on the tardiness. They don't want to talk about it, and Britta, of course, is doing her Billy Piper acting of with her mouth, and says that he comes in too late every day. And Jeff says he only does that because you guys usually spend the first 20 minutes talking about your interesting personal lives and cool emotional problems. And he doesn't have anything to offer in that regard.
He just doesn't care.
And he opens up his binder and he goes, you see, my life is just as empty as this 3-ring binder. Andy, do you have those Spanish notes? And so she hands him a copy of her notes.
Because he
puts them in the binder.
Is lazy.
and he's taking advantage of them.
Yes.
The opening credits play, which were not in the first one.
I sang it for them already. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, yes, you did. 2 things about this. What is the thing called that is the
cootie catcher?
Cootie catcher. I kept calling it a finger trap. I was like, what is that thing called? Yeah, cootie catcher.
I'm pretty sure there might be other names for it, but we called it a cootie catcher.
Because you're a girl.
That's also correct, I would assume.
Pick 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Let's see if there's other names for it.
Now pick a letter.
A fortune teller. these other ones don't seem right to me, but Whirlybird and Salt Cellar and Chatterbox. Fortune Teller and Cootie Catcher are the only ones that I know.
Yeah, that's what I would have gone with. One note on this, because I just caught it because I just know this opening, but I didn't remember this one. This first episode, when it says Chevy Chase's name, it's a picture of a topless woman. You might not have that one on the Peacock one, Rachel, but on the Blu-ray, it's like a topless. It's like a stick figure with boobs.
I think you're right.
Next to his name.
I think it skips him. Nope. Okay, the one I have, it looks like
it's just
some
the
weird
eyeballs,
block
the two
with
circles.
like lips and eyeballs.
Can you show me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the normal one. That's the one that they turn it into every episode. But on the Blu-ray, and like the first time it aired, it was a stick figure with boobs, and they were told they had to change it.
Of course they did. Of course they did. Of course they changed it. Of course they did. A crude drawing of boobs and like, get it out of here.
For me, yeah, I mean, get it out of here. But for me, it was very noticeable just because I'm so used to that picture being next to Chevy. So they like kept the boobs in, but then they like made them eyes instead or whatever.
Oh, so it's boobs and lips. It's not eyeballs and lips.
Well, I mean,
no, that's it. That's headcanon now. Those are boobs and lips on that page.
There you go, folks. You've heard it first. Rachel has deemed it so. Make it so. Or so let it be written. So let it be done. Jeff gives Britta a card since it's been 2 weeks since they met. I don't know what his game is here with these cards, but all right, fine, whatever. It's actually a little, like a card for like a nephew's birthday or something like that.
Yeah,
I think he's like written
weird.
in the card.
Of course.
Like he realizes that Britta might want some sort of genuineness, generosity. So he's thinking like, oh, a card. That's what a lady likes.
Yeah, it's a very odd thing.
Britta thinks the exploitation of the rest of the group is wrong. And as he says, like, I'm not exploiting them. I'm not trying to take advantage of them or anything. Abed
here
walks
comes
up and is
Abed.
like, Jeff, do you want me to
move your car?
Pull your car around?
Oh, my God. It's like,
Britta calls...
Yeah, he's like, no, why would I have you do that? I just wanted Abed to be like, well, you've had me do that every other day. Like,
yeah, why would I change? I do it every day. I'm surprised that he trusts Abed to drive his car, to, like, pull the car around.
Well, he's kind of I guess he would probably try to be perfect about it.
Yeah, that's true. Because I was going to say, like, I don't see Jeff giving anyone his car.
Yes. But I'm also thinking I would be nervous giving it to Abed because he might think of it as, like, a Ferris Bueller's Day Off situation where he's, like, going to steal the car and then go have shenanigans with it.
Good point.
So that would be the reason I wouldn't.
That's very true. Yeah, that could have been a whole nother, like, side quest spin-off.
Yes.
Can
you pull the car around, and then he forgets that he asked him to do it, and then there's shenanigans with those two.
Yes,
and then
he gets pulled away for the rest of the episode.
Yes.
And Abed and Troy take the car.
For a joyride.
Yes. I like that. I like that a lot. Could have worked.
It could have worked.
It could have been a fan fiction right there. Ferris Bueller's Day Off on the list.
Yes. Yeah.
Britta says Jeff is cute, but selfish and narcissistic.
She said
and
I'm
walks
cute.
away. Yeah, and Jeff's only takeaway is that she said I'm cute. Rachel, I gotta ask you a question.
Oh, God.
As a woman.
All right.
Because Joel McHale is built like an Adonis. Like, we see him later on in this season wearing nothing but his underwear, and he is built like a fucking god. But I wouldn't call him cute. Do you know what I'm saying?
What would you say then?
Like rugged is the wrong word.
No, he's not rugged. He's got a baby face.
Like Troy
I don't
could
feel
be
like
rugged.
that would work. Yes, he can get rugged.
Especially when he grows that beard
with that
out.
beard. Yes.
It's not cute. It's handsome.
Handsome could work.
Cute's the wrong adjective for Joel McHale.
Dashing?
Nothing against you, Mr. McHale. Dashing could be one. Dashing would probably be a good one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other terms because it's like they do mean different things.
They mean completely different things. Now, Joel, you can come on the show anytime. We would definitely let you on it because that would be a lot of fun. Friend of the show, Joel McHale.
That could be fun.
It's just a different term. Like when I say Britta is cute, when I can say Britta is cute, I mean that, and Rachel could go, yeah, I can see that. I can see why
cute.
Kevin thinks that.
Yeah.
Or Annie, like Allison Brie is cute. As Jeff is happy that Britta said that he was cute, Pierce says, "Tell you what, you take her. I have less to prove." It's just a funny line.
Oh my god.
He asks Jeff if Jeff wants to get a beer with him. He says that he'll give him some advice, and we can have what the kids are calling a sausage fest.
He's got that wrong.
I like how he got it wrong, though.
No, I do
like,
too.
That's a cute way to get it wrong.
I do like...
See?
Cute.
Back.
I do like that Jeff, though, does the... I'm not going to tell him what it means. I'm just going to tell him I'm not much of a sausage guy.
He doesn't want to, like, break it to him. That's not what it means.
Right.
Annie and Shirley want to get political, so they're asking Britta more questions about how to be more political and more active. They ask Britta to tell them a bunch of stuff, and Britta's like, you can Google all of this stuff. It's like, it's out there. Just look for yourselves.
Right.
And they're like, well, could you tell us what to Google?
Yeah, like, how do we look it up? Where are we supposed to find it? Like, what's real, I think, is also the idea.
It's actually a fairly decent question, especially nowadays, because it's like, you kind of have to know what sources to look at to be able to know what is a good, resource.
What's reputable?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No, I agree. It's difficult. There's a lot of bias, and there's a lot of fake stuff out there because it's the internet. So now there's even more fake stuff out there than there was when this was on.
There's literally decades of Shelf Life episodes where it's just an AI pretending to be me and Rachel. If you're
we're
listening
not
to this
real.
Decades into the future.
We're not real. None of this is real.
Yeah, none of this is real. Are you real?
No.
Are you?
Maybe.
Is any of this real?
Is
this
the person
really
listening real?
That's right. Really fuck with your mind. You just wrinkled my brain. It's like that. I can't remember who was talking about it when they were like, who cares if we live in a fucking simulation? I still have to pay my rent.
It's
that doesn't
true.
Like, what do I care if this is fake or not? It's real to me. So anyway, they want to put together a protest for the Guatemalan journalists. They think that they can host a candlelight vigil like lesbians have on the news.
I mean, their heart's in the right place. I suppose.
And then we get the introduction of Senior Chang.
So,
Rachel, could you, played by Ken Jeong, all I'm going to say about this, and then I'll make Rachel describe Ken Jeong's character. I can't stand Ken Jeong in anything else outside of Community. I cannot stand that man.
He just becomes a bit too much.
He's a character of himself. It's like too much.
Yeah.
I want to put chloroform on his face and tell him to take a nap because he's just over the top too much.
He becomes too much. They rein him in this though, so it's edible.
He's good in this role.
Yeah.
He fits this role. He understands like how to combine these traits of like psychotic and and like lonely. I don't even understand what's going on with him until later on. Rachel, please describe Senior Chang.
Senior Chang is the teacher of Spanish 101. He is, as you put it, a bit psychotic. He's very passionate about Spanish. He comes off that way, at least. He's like trying to intimidate them in this beginning part. And I feel like he constantly is doing that. He's trying to be this intimidating little man because he's the teacher.
A psycho.
And he's crazy. Yeah.
Why do you teach Spanish? That's how they ask it. Why do you teach Spanish? I'm going to quote him verbatim here, Rachel, because I have the quote up, so I'm just going to say it. Why you? Why not math?
That's racist.
Why not photography?
That's fine.
Why not martial arts?
That's also racist.
I mean, surely it must be in my nature to instruct you in something that's ancient and secret. While he's doing this, he's doing a over-the-top Chinese accent, by the way.
Yes, and he's like staring each of them down as he's doing it.
And he's also doing a Fu Manchu. He's like pulling on a fake Fu Manchu beard.
He does do that.
Well, I'll tell you why I teach Spanish. It's none of your business, okay? I don't want to have any conversations about what a mysterious, inscrutable man I am. Oh, I am a Spanish genius. My nickname is El Tigre Chino. Then he pretends to bite Shirley on the neck and goes, nom, 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 nom. Because my knowledge will bite her face off. So don't question Senor Chang. You'll get bit. You bit.
I don't want to have any conversations about what a mysterious, inscrutable man I am. I am a Spanish genius. In Espanol, my nickname is El Tigre Chino. Because my knowledge will bite her face off. So don't question Senor Chang, or you'll get bit. You bit. Ya bit.
So the whole point is that he's not, he's Asian. He's of Asian descent, and not,
If you couldn't tell.
of some Spanish descent.
Right.
That's
Yes,
it.
Exactly.
That's all.
His transition from ya bit into okay class. Good job today. Next, get ready and.
It's amazing.
It's really, really well done. I will absolutely give it up for Ken Jeong in this scene, but in this role in particular. It gets annoying later on in the series we'll talk about.
Well,
but,
because they know
here-
it's funny, so they're like, yeah, do more.
Yeah,
do more. People love it. And then
yeah,
because
exactly.
they do that, it's like, no, you're supposed to keep him reined in. That's why we think it's funny.
I think at some point we find out that his ex-wife is Spanish. So
I think that's part of it. I think that's why he knows.
I think he actually knew it beforehand, but because he knew it, he was able to talk to her.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
He tells them that under their desks, are you doing a Senor Chang impression, Rachel? She was like moving her neck, doing like the Ken Jeong acting, because Ken Jeong acts with his neck quite a bit.
He's a necked actor. You're right. He does.
Billy Piper and Gillian Jacobs are mouth actors. Ken Jeong is a neck actor. He tells them that under their desks there is either a picture or a word. Blondie here, Le Blonde, or whatever he calls her.
And then he like pets his face.
Yeah, he rubs some other guy's face.
What are you doing? Like, why?
I just like that he calls Britta Blondie because he doesn't know her name.
That's also true.
Has La Casa.
As a picture of La Casa.
So then he's saying, like, if you have the word Casa,
La Casa,
you're her partner for this assignment. Starburns is introduced. The first scene with Starburns.
He's just there. He's just there. All right, Starburns. Is this where he gets the nickname? Like, is it because Ken doesn't know his name, so he calls him Starburns, and then that's the end. That's
exactly
it.
Why.
That's who you are for the rest of your life.
And they do a better job later on of making them look way more like a star. Like,
I have a feeling it's the guy just leaning into it. Like, it's
they
I
said,
know they do it on purpose for like the show, but I feel like the guy goes, "All right, I'm Starburns. I'm gonna make them look even better."
Yeah, because now this is like that's his thing.
That's his thing.
Dino Stamatopoulos, who was one of the writers on the show, plays Starburns, and Starburns looks like a middle-aged guy that has literal stars carved into his sideburns.
Yeah. Doesn't he have a ponytail and stuff too? Like,
he's a ponytail. He always wears like an Aladdin vest.
Yeah, I expect him to play a guitar. Like, he just carries one and plays it.
Yeah,
whenever.
Carries the guitar.
Like,
yeah. He talks about the good old days a lot.
Right.
How music in the 80s was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. They said that they carved it into him for this joke. You know, that's how Starburns became a thing. But then he actually grew his beard thicker so that they could shave it into the stars, so that it was like properly done.
Oh my
from
God.
At that point on.
It's hilarious.
So he tells them, "Hasta luego," which is how he always tells them to leave. And he goes, "No, use your hands. 90% of Spanish is all in the arms." And then he makes them like do this like
even bigger,
thing.
like "Hasta luego." I love that Abed is just holding his arms up in the air. Like, there it is. Everybody else is kind of swinging him, but he's just like up in the air.
Jeff tries to buy off Abed because he got La Casa. Abed is going to get to be partners with Britta.
Yes.
And Abed says he doesn't want any of Jeff's money. He wants his shirt.
He's been eyeing that shirt.
Yeah, he's been eyeing that shirt. And Jeff's like, okay, I'll give you my shirt. And Abed's like, no. I want to walk out with that shirt on. So they change shirts in class, which
it's so tight on him.
Joel McHale gets to show off his diver's bod, and he looks like a fucking Captain America character.
It does look really silly here. Yeah, like Dum Dum Dugan, because it's like the tight stripes.
Yeah,
doesn't he wear tight stripes? I don't know why that's the one that came to mind when I looked at that and you said that. I'm like, Dum Dum Dugan.
It's an interesting thought. Sandman would probably
Sandman works too. You said Captain America.
Oh, whatever.
No, Dum Dum Dugan doesn't wear stripes. I don't know why he's the one that came to mind. No, he does wear stripes. I was right. Never mind.
It's like, wait, I retract my statement. I was correct. Thank you, Internet. What the fuck is wrong with us tonight? Britta shows. Britta.
I'm never gonna
Jeff
get
is
through
like,
it.
Jeff is like, hey, we, looks like we're partners, and shows that he at the house. And Britta's like, oh, well, actually, I switched cards with Pierce, and shows that she has a toilet now.
Yeah.
What's toilet in Spanish, Rachel?
I don't know. I'm really bad. Baño.
Oh, a baño.
El baño.
El baño. Use your hands. It's 90% of Spanish.
El baño. El baño. I can't. I did Italian.
You did Italian.
I did Italian. It's not the same. It's a love language, but it's not the same.
Not the same. Clearly, Pierce wants to partner with Jeff. He wants to get closer to Jeff, so he's like figured that he thought the same plan that Jeff did to get closer with Britta.
Yes.
We are in the study room now with Jeff and Pierce. Pierce is talking about the moist towelette business.
Of course.
One of the reasons that he might have gotten divorced was because he's sterile. He can't have kids. He's actually, but it's not that he's sterile. He's actually hyper viralic. His sperm just shoots right through the egg.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, because where does it go?
Where does it go?
Of course, it didn't help any that I can't have children. I'm not sterile. In fact, it's a rare condition called hypervirility. Apparently, my sperm shoot through the egg like bullets. Can you believe that?
I can't, but you can, so that's fine.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Again,
like just
Jeff
letting
Winger...
him believe what he wants to believe.
Yep, like it's not worth it. Just let him believe what he wants to believe.
Yeah.
And it's such a Joel McHale sentence too. Like I could see Joel McHale in his real life using it.
Yes, I could actually. Like that sounds like something that would happen if somebody said something to him. He's just like, "All right, that's fine."
Yeah,
you
like I don't believe that, but you do, and that's fine. Jeff just wants to get the assignment done, so he's trying to push Pierce to get it done. And Pierce is like, "Nah, come on, let's have a drink." And he like pulls out like some scotch and stuff. He convinces Jeff to take the drink, and he tells Jeff that he says to the empowerage of words as his toast. And Jeff goes, to the irony of that sentence. I like empowerage. I think we should bring that in. It's a very cromulent word.
It's a very cromulent word. It's very empoweraging. Empowerage. I don't know.
Empowerage is the religious connotation.
I was gonna say, I went, oops, I'm so sorry.
Jeff admits that he has Britta on his mind. What are you getting hung up on Britta for? She's ugly. And her name Britta. What is she, a water filter? And then Chevy Chase does that Chevy Chase laugh that I can't even do it where he's out of breath laughing.
That one?
Yeah, it's so good. I don't know how he does it on cue like that. He's always done it. Like in the vacation movies, he does it.
Yes.
Pierce doesn't want to just do the assignment, which is to just do 5 phrases back and forth like a conversation to each other.
Yeah, it's literally just 5 phrases.
He wants to show them all that between Jeff Winger and Pierce Hawthorne, they're a force to be reckoned with. And he goes to the wall and he draws a terrible circle. It's an awful circle.
It's a really bad circle, yeah.
And he has ideas for this presentation. In the
'Cause
meantime,
he wants to make it a production, not a presentation.
He's like wants to put on a play, like a whole thing. In the meantime, Shirley and Annie have set up a protest booth. There's signs, there's dancing, there's brownies, all of this stuff, which Britta says is not how you protest, and she tells them that it's tacky and lame. But Rachel, they're actually kind of in the right here because they're bringing attention to
Yes,
it.
they're getting attention. They're bringing people together. They're talking about it in a fun way, kind of, about a dead guy. But it works. It works because it gets attention.
It makes people know what's going on.
People want to participate, so they're like, okay, what's going on over here? What is this? And they want to know what's happening.
In some ways, that works better than just being very flat and telling people very plainly. Now they have to take away the right message, but it is bringing those people there. It's
step one.
Step one. That's right. Get attention. Sex. Now that I have your attention. Britta tells them that the cause is very personal to her, and they say that they realize what she's doing. She just wants to make it so that she's special by knowing these things, but she doesn't really want to do anything about it. And Britta does some self-reflection and goes like, oh my God, they're like, right. I'm a, what do they call them? Slacktivist? She's kind of a slacktivist.
Is that the word? Interesting.
Yeah, it's a newer word, because like whenever somebody puts like, oh, we have to do something about the latest whatever shit happened,
right?
That the president did, and it's like, are you really going to do something, or are you just going to bitch and moan about it on the internet? Because you're not really accomplishing anything then.
Sure. No, it makes sense.
And in some cases, you may not be able to do anything, and all you can do is just say like, please be aware that this is happening.
Yeah.
But for some stuff in your local town or your neighbors, you might be able to do something, and instead of just saying we should do something, well, not me, but someone.
Yeah.
Do something. It's Lord Helmet telling somebody to do something.
It's definitely Lord Helmet.
Britta realizes this and agrees to help them now. There's a million pages on the table, and Jeff says that they have an incredibly.
Oh, you didn't want to mention the piñata?
Oh, I forgot about the piñata. Go ahead.
Their next thing was to hang up a piñata of the journalist who was murdered.
Right.
Yes.
And Britta's like, it might be a little on the nose because he was like beaten to death or something like that.
Yes, they're like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we know. Exactly.
That's exactly what they're going for. They want it to be like very on the nose. That's where we got the idea from, I think, is what she says.
Yeah, I think that's what she says.
Funnier.
That's where we got the idea from. Yeah, that's funny. That's very funny. There's a bunch of pages on the study room table, and Pierce, what'd you say?
Poignant.
Poignant.
Did I say poig? I said
you said
poig.
Poignant. Yeah, that's the trailer.
Poignant. And I said
niece.
poig.
Niche.
Damn it. No, that's not a trailer moment. That's a cut it moment. Just talk about the damn papers. Talk about the papers. Move on.
So there's a bunch of papers on the table, and Pierce says, okay, where are we at? And Jeff goes, where we're at is we have an incredibly long, slightly homophobic, and surprisingly against Israel play called The Two Conquistadors. And it feels like it should be the Dos Conquistadors because it is a Spanish assignment, which we're supposed to say is only 5 phrases.
Right.
The only thing in it isn't the 5 phrases. I like the little diatribe. And I also like at the end when they do it, that it has an Israeli-Palestinian message in it.
Yes.
Abed and Troy come in. Abed's wearing Jeff's shirt, so he does have it on. Troy's got his Letterman jacket on. And they tell them that, like, there's the candlelight vigil going on. They're going to go to that. They ask them, like, well, didn't you do your Spanish assignment yet? Like, aren't you guys, like, having to work on that? And then they do the phrases right in front of them. They, like, have it down. They, like, just do the 5 lines right away. They do their high five clap.
They made that up. They made that up on the spot. They didn't even, yes, 100%. They were like, oh, yeah, we have to do that. Then they looked at each other and were like, all right, just start talking. So then the one says a phrase, the other one answers, the other one says a phrase. I don't think they memorized
it.
I don't think so.
No?
No, I think they made it up on the spot, said, that's the one we'll go with, then we can leave.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm fine with your interpretation of it, Rachel, but I think they actually are saying, like, they spent 20 minutes figuring it out, and then, like, now they just kind of have it down, and they know what they're supposed to say back and forth to each other.
No. Okay, let me explain what happens in this, right?
Okay.
All right, so they talk
Rachel
about
is about to go on a Rachel rant.
They talk about it, right? They say they want to go to the candlelit vigil, and they were like, okay, but you do realize, like, have you even started this? It's due tomorrow. And they went, oh, yeah, okay. And then they look at each other and goes, what do you want to do? Then they just start doing the phrases to each other.
Oh, see, I thought they were rubbing it in like we did the phrases hours ago.
No, it was totally, hi, my name's Abed. Hi, my name's Troy. And then they say, like, where's the library? It's over there. And then something else. And then that's the end. They go, perfect, that's it. Well, that's what we'll do. And then they leave. Is it the library? Is that what they say? Hold on, let me see.
I'm sure it is, because the rap at the end is Donde está la biblioteca.
Exactly.
And
Mi
Pierce says,
lamo
what?
Abed. Hola, mi lamano. Lamo. I can't speak. Yamo? Okay. I don't know,
L's
Kevin. I didn't speak I have never spoken Spanish. I have never.
You know I don't speak Spanish. It's from Anchorman.
I'm not reading it anymore. Fuck off.
All right, that was also a trailer moment. You just mumbling. I'm not going to even do it anymore. That's good. Anyway, all right, so yes, they do the phrase, and Jeff goes to leave, and Pierce is like, wait, you're going to leave it? This is our first sausage fest. Jeff explains that, look, Britta cares about something stupid, and if I can act like I care about it too, I can get in, like, her good graces. So he's going to leave, but Pierce is upset about this.
Of course.
Jeff goes outside, and they're having a silent protest, so they all have the tape over their mouths. I think if you've been to college, you've seen a silent protest, I think that there's always
one. There is, okay.
Uh-oh! Folks at home, get ready!
There was always a person in either high school or college who did this. Like, this was actually a thing. And then they would have the tape over their mouth, and they'd be like, I can't talk during class because I'm doing this silent protest for... I don't even know if they knew what the hell they were talking about.
Domestic abuse, I think, was one a lot of the time with silent protests.
But, like, what are you doing?
Women don't talk up or something.
Right, so they don't speak up, so they're saying, like, look, we're all silenced because of it. Whatever, that's fine. I never knew what the hell they were talking about because they never had, like, they had their little sign around their neck and stuff.
Well,
but,
yeah.
But I felt like they were just trying to be a pain in the ass half the time. It never felt like they were actually trying to do something for something.
The idea would be that you would ask someone, like, why are there people with the tape on their mouth? And then you find out, and then you're like, oh, okay. So I think that's the idea.
Sure, I get it. But it just always felt so, like, because the teachers would always be so damn annoyed, too.
Sure.
So it was just like, oh my God, like because
it's an attempt. It's an attempt.
It's an attempt, but I feel like it was always done during a time where there was, like, a presentation, and so they're like, I can't do the presentation because I have the tape over my mouth. I'm doing a protest, and I'm just like, are you? Look, I'm for it. I'm for doing that. I'm for
Rachel
awareness.
is pro domestic abuse. She is.
I am so done with this podcast right now. You such a dick. I'm so done. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm done.
I'm okay. All right. I'm sorry. Come back, Rachel. Come back. Come back. Sorry. What were you saying? Go ahead. No. What were you actually going to say? I was just being a smartass to, like, do.
I know you were.
You're saying it's like it felt
performative.
Like performative.
It did. It never felt like they meant it. It never felt like they were doing it for actual cause, which always, like, annoyed me because I'm like, no, why don't you actually do it then? It just felt like empty.
It was a day where they didn't have to talk
empty.
in class.
Yes. Like,
well, that's why this one's mixing protests together.
Sure.
But at the same time, you could say like, well, it's a journalist, so if you're doing a silent protest,
yes, you're silencing a journalist who's supposed to.
You're silencing a journalist, so like there is actually
This felt this makes sense. I'm just saying, like, there was always those people who were, like, doing that and just felt so empty.
You're not saying, like, when it was organized. You're saying when, like, a handful, like
Yeah,
five
like a
girls would do
handful
it.
of people would do it together, and they would have a sign around their neck, and they would just like be doing something, and you're just like, this wasn't organized. Like, what do you mean?
You're just doing it because you
to get
don't
out of
wanna talk
class.
today.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. No, definitely.
But like, this
I'm thinking,
is like a real organized
yes,
thing.
this is because I've had them when they were like on the quad, and
Oh,
like
yeah,
girls
sure,
would
that
walk
would
around,
happen.
or even guys would like walk around on the quad.
yeah,
and, like
absolutely.
that's organized.
Yes.
You're talking about like high school, 5 girls
Oh
put
my God,
the
it was
tape
so
on their mouth
annoying.
because they
Yes.
don't want to talk today.
Yes.
All
Like in
right,
college,
all right,
yeah,
I
that
gotcha.
there was more organized stuff going on. But in high school, they would do that, and I'm just like, you're not doing anything. You're just stupid.
Okay, where were we? Okay.
Tape over their mouths, Kevin. Tape.
They have the tape over their mouths, yes. I like that there's no dialogue in this scene. That they
Well,
all
part
kinda,
of the
they kind of
scene.
do it. Yeah. But they kind of do it just via their actions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Jeff comes out, he goes to the table, tapes his mouth, grabs a candle, sees a kid with a sign, pays the kid for the sign,
Yes.
and like tries to find Britta
So of course he also he has to have a sign because of course he does.
because it makes it more better, more poignant, more poignant.
Yeah, more poignant.
Poignant. I don't know why I said poignant.
Poignant.
my stupid mouth went poignant.
Foliage.
It is foliage. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's our Rachel, our little walking Wyberry. Or Library. Sorry.
We tried.
He finds Britta and tries to act cool. She knows what he's doing, though. But she does tell him that she was too harsh on him because she feels like Annie and Shirley called her out for being kind of a hypocrite. So she's like, I'm kind of selfish, too. Pierce comes out drunk because I guess he was sitting in the study room drinking.
I mean, he did have that entire bottle, so it makes sense.
And he runs down Jeff and
Didn't take him long
tells
to get drunk.
Well, I could see that. And says that like the only reason that you're coming out here is to do this stupid thing so that you can get into her pants and all this stuff. So he kind of like calls Jeff out on it in front of everyone.
And then goes, why is everybody wearing tape on their mouths?
Why does everyone have tape on their mouths? And then Abed says that an outburst like this is going to make them come together as an unlikely family. Like these like unsightly scenes are going to like make them come together more because it's a TV show, so it has to.
Right.
He's like Deadpool, but he doesn't know he's in a TV show. He just thinks that life should function like a TV show.
He wants it
He doesn't
that
break the
structure
fourth
because
wall.
he understands the
He
structure.
wants that structure.
Mhm.
Exactly. Troy says in response to this, "You have horrible breath right now." He gets set on fire by one of the candles. Pierce does. Because he bumps into one of the candles.
Yes, of course.
Very, very Chevy Chase style, because he like runs off on fire with one of and that's the end of that scene.
He just runs away. There's like nobody tries to pat him down.
Nope. Why would you?
Yeah,
Just
I
gotta let
thought
him go.
maybe he would like run into a fountain or something, but he just runs
No.
off on fire.
Well, the article the next day, Shirley and Annie are all excited because they're like, "Look, we made the paper!" And like the real paper, like the city paper.
Yes.
And they say, "Well, the article is mostly about Pierce, but the last part says it happened during a protest."
Man
And
on
Britta
fire
tells
at
them-
protest.
Yes, exactly.
It's more like man lights himself on fire for protest. I'm surprised they didn't spin
Oh
it.
yeah, they could have. What if they? Yeah,
They
what if
coulda
they? That
spun
would have been
it.
funny. Yeah, if it got spun and it was like a man sets himself on fire in protest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan Harmon, go back and change that. 'Cause I think that's better. I think that would have been funnier. That would have been more Simpsons-esque.
It would have been more Simpsons.
Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where like the journalist is kind of
Yeah, like now it's like
getting it
more
spun.
bigger news.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Britta says that it's more than she's ever been able to accomplish, so she congratulates them. Jeff gives her a new card. This one says that he's sorry.
Aw.
And the group is talking about how Pierce is crazy and evil. And Britta says, "Yeah, you know how crazy he is? He gave me $100 just so that he could be Jeff's partner. I think all that he wants is to get closer to Jeff because he spent his whole life looking out for himself. He just wants to have some kind of family." Jeff internalizes this as he hears it.
Of course. Makes him feel bad.
Pierce comes in with a duffel bag, and Senior Chang turns to the class and he goes, "Okay, I know that Jeff and Pierce were supposed to give their presentation, but people were betrayed, words were said." So he says that he thinks it's only right to give Jeff a C and let Pierce do the presentation.
That doesn't make any sense to me. The person complaining that the other person, like, screwed them over, you're gonna let that person fly by with a C?
Well,
they
I
should
guess
have to do their own presentation.
They should just have to do their own
presentation. They should have to both do a
I
separate
agree.
presentation.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yes.
I completely agree. I think that maybe the idea was that Chang might have said, like, should we both do one? And Pierce is like, no, I really need to give this presentation. It's like gonna be, you have to see it. And so he's like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know. They think that he has dementia and stuff like that. Even Chang like turns around and is like he's losing his mind. He like gives that like motion like he's crazy or whatever.
Right.
Jeff, again, seeing that Chang is also like telling the class like he's losing it, this old bastard, stands up and says like, well, you know, I that won't be acceptable. I can't accept that.
I mean, you have to do the presentation with Pierce once he puts on the tiny sombrero. It's necessary.
You have to.
You have to. You have no other choice.
Is that a rule, Rachel? If you ever see someone wearing a tiny sombrero and they ask you to do something,
If they are
okay.
If they look like a sad person wearing a tiny sombrero, you have to do something for them.
Rachel nodded before she said you have to.
You have to. A sad man in a tiny sombrero is just...
Sad Man in a Tiny Sombrero, I think, was a Tenacious D song.
It feels like it should be.
Sad man in a tiny sombrero. Just kind of sound like it could have been a
Weird Al,
a Leonard Cohen song or something. Tom Waits song. Sad man, tiny sombrero. Jeff says that the presentation is bigger than both of them, and Chang is like, wait, why are there costumes involved? This was supposed to be 5 sentences. So they do their presentation.
Yes, this is a montage. Which I don't think any of it is in Spanish. I'm just going to point that out. And I think that's...
It could not be, because they wouldn't be able to do it.
At one point, I think you see them mouthing stuff, and it's definitely not Spanish.
Okay.
That's my point.
At one point, they're wearing fairy wings, flying the Palestinian and Israeli flags.
Right.
They are shooting silly string at each other with Israeli and Palestinian flags as well. So they're doing the Middle East crises war. At one point, they are, I think, Lewis and Clark with Sacagawea.
I think so. Yes.
As Annie.
Yes, they take
Sacagawea.
Right.
And Jeff has his ass just in her face.
Yeah.
In the commentary, Joel McHale and Chevy Chase are doing the commentary, and Joel McHale goes like, "This is where you yelled at me, Chevy, because you said that my ass was way too close to Allison's face." They do a minstrel show at one point. They're wearing like the big white gloves with afros, so they're clearly doing like a minstrel show.
Yeah, and then at some point they're robots.
Yeah, they're robots at one point. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? It's all done with this, what's her name? Annie Lennox. Is that right? Annie Lennox song over it. So it's like this like very like tranquil song.
It's so weird.
Going over it. When it's over, they both have sparklers in their hands as they like, no one does anything, and then Abba just goes.
Yes, he does a slow clap. He thinks that that's a slow clap moment.
For it. I like.
He was like nodding at one point, like
he understood it. Like
I think he did.
It was only on Abed's level.
I think he did. Because he's like, Pierce is expressing his feelings. I understand.
Yeah, he understands it.
Yeah. Everybody else looks
more horrified.
Just mortified.
Mortified was what I was going to say, and you're right. That's the better word. And Chang just goes, F minus. And Chevy apparently improvised this. He goes, "Did you say S?"
I mean,
and in the commentary, Chevy was like, "I was thinking S for satisfactory."
Right.
Like, he thought like it was
okay.
No,
I totally understood his joke. It was yes. You didn't have to explain it, Chevy. It's okay.
Britta tells Jeff that was one of the worst things she's ever seen, which makes it a selfless act. And Jeff is like, aren't you like thinking like, I only did that to like get a date with you or whatever. And she's like, no, because
no.
no woman in that class could
Would
ever
ever
look
think
at
it.
you as a sexually viable candidate ever again.
After doing that, yeah.
And she walks away, but she looks back, and Jeff is like, she looked back. Yeah, and Jeff takes that as a win. Pierce comes up and says, like, that you did good in there, Jeffrey. I have a couple of notes. And they walk away with him giving notes about his performance as the episode ends.
For some reason...
but wait! Oh, sorry, go ahead.
For some reason, that just feels like two comedians, too. Like Chevy Chase
Yeah,
actually
here's your
doing
notes.
that. Yeah, it's like, I have some notes.
I could see him doing that at the same time being like, you either sink or swim, buddy. I'm Chevy Chase, and I know what I'm doing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so it's either like one or the other. Like if Chevy's like having a good day, he could be like, let me teach you something.
Yeah.
But because this is the Russo brothers and because this is Dan Harmon, there's always an after the credits scene. So we get the stinger scene here. The
See, Community did it. Sorry.
Yep, Community did do it.
I mentioned callback.
So I'm going to say it in Spanish, and then Rachel, please tell us what it is in English. But this is one of the most famous end bits of the Community episodes, which is the rap that Troy and Abed do. Troy and Abed in the morning.
Not yet, but yes.
Donde está la biblioteca? Mi llamo T-Bone. La araña discoteca. Discoteca. Muñeca. La biblioteca. Es bogate. Grande. Pero manteca. Manteca. Bigate. Gigante. Pequeño. Cabaza es nieve. Cerveza es bueno. Buenos días. Me gusta. Papas fritas. Bigate de la cabra. Es camarón días. Okay. Rachel, what were they saying in English? For the people that don't speak my terrible broken Spanish.
Do I have to rap it? Because I don't think it's going to work.
No, I think you could just say what words they were saying.
Where is the library? My name is T-Bone. The disco spider. Disco. Doll. The library. Is in a big mustache dog lard. Lard. Mustache. Huge little. Head is in ice cream. Beer is good. Good day. I like cold potatoes. The goat's mustache is Cameron Diaz.
There you go. Yeah, boy! So, I think it was one of the Russos. It could have been another one of the writers.
It could have been him.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Donald Glover.
It wasn't, because I'm like, he could have just done it. Because
I know, and
he
could have just figured. He could have figured it out.
Yes.
He goes full childish Gambino.
That's what I was thinking.
Part.
I was like, he just did it. He's like, now let's just do this.
Whoever it was, I think it was one of the Russos. Was like, yeah, I stayed up all night with one of the guys like on staff spoke Spanish, and he just kept asking him, okay, what rhymes with? Okay, we need something that rhymes with biblioteca. So like, what? Give me a word, and then like, so that's how they like wrote it. And he's like,
and it's like it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to work. It doesn't have to make sense.
He doesn't want it
give me
to
a word.
work.
Just give me a word.
Yeah. And that is the end of Spanish 101. So we have passed that class. Rachel, what did you think of Spanish 101?
Oh, it's ridiculous. You know, I would be intimidated by LT Gray. Oh wait.
I would drop that class.
I think I might have to. It'd be too much.
Too much.
I think it's fun. I think it's a fun episode. It's interesting to see the dynamic between the characters, since it's like the first time we get to see each one of them interacting with others, and we see pairs form. So we have Shirley and Annie like pairing off together. We have Abed and Troy pairing off together in this one. So it's kind of just
and Pierce and Jeff paired off pretty much too.
Right.
Britta's the driving force
Yes.
in a lot of these early episodes.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, like Jeff is the main character,
but he's using
Britta
Britta
is the catalyst for a lot of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's something that I did not remember either. Is like, oh, Britta really drives a lot of this going forward. I thought it was a stupid little episode.
Yeah,
with like the craziness and stuff. It's one of those Community episodes again that like feels light on the plot, but there's a lot of character stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
It expands the world a little bit. Senior Chang comes in. That scene's very fun. Little, simple, but has a lot of funny stuff in it. So, yeah, it's all right. That was Spanish 101. Coming up next, after the break, a word from our fake sponsor, and we will head over to our next class, which is
Introduction to Film.
That's right. Rachel's going to teach that one, right?
That would be fun. Rachel? I would do that. I could do that.
Do that on a weekly basis with this podcast.
It's not film. This is audio.
Yeah, but we're telling them stories about
that's true.
film.
That's fair. You know what? Fair. It may not be the actual filming aspect of it, but you know, We do tell a story.
Yeah,
and that's what we're going to hear now in Introduction to Film.
After the break.
Accessibility. Greendale. What an accessible place to learn. It's hard to believe this property was once an animal rendering plant. It's time you discovered what else lies beneath the surface.
I've gotten lost visiting bigger universities. I want buildings I can see.
Greendale is centrally located. It's in my own backyard.
The small class size makes me feel like more than just a number.
My student number makes signing up for classes easy.
For real. My house is right over that wall.
We'll take every step to accommodate your needs. Imagine this basketball as a handicapped student. Try doing that $25,000 ago.
Greendale Community College. You're already accepted.
And we're back with another episode of Community. Rachel, we are going to another class here for Community Season 1. What are we auditing here today?
We're going to go into the film with Introduction to Film.
That's right, the third episode of Community.
I like how it's an intro to stuff. Like,
well, it's an introduction because it's their first
that's what I'm thinking.
Season. It's your first semester, you know.
Yeah.
Episode aired on October 1st, 2009, written by Tim Hobart and John Pollock, and then, of course, refreshed by Dan Harmon, and directed by Anthony Russo. Rachel, what is the Introduction to Film about?
Abed wants to take a film class. Dad won't let him. Britta pays for it. He takes film class, makes a documentary about his life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. Rachel doesn't have shelf life.
Is that Well, is that good, or do you want more?
No, I think that's about right. The other part, the other side story of it would be that Jeff takes a class where the professor
Yes, I forgot.
thinks that it's
Carpe
Dead
diem.
Poet Society.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. We're seizing the day all over
We
this
must
place.
seize the day.
Carpe diem! Seize the day!
Day seized.
Day seized.
There's your
We're
stinger.
doing this too late at night for me to be like, yes, carpe diem, and like be all like up about it. This, of course, stars John Michael Higgins in it. John Michael Higgins comes up in a bunch of stuff. Best in Show, like all those movies. He is a prolific host of game show network game shows, I think is where you'd see him now.
I mean, yeah.
He does a few of them. Pitch Perfect. He's one of the announcers alongside
Right.
Elizabeth Banks.
Yes.
I think they both do network game shows now. Anyway, funny guy, very good in this role. He's playing this overzealous teacher that like thinks that he has to break everyone out to be I don't even know if he thinks that he has to. I think he actually lives his life that way.
I'm
like, by
wondering
that
what
motto.
happened in his life that made him become this guy.
Oh yeah, he has a very dark background.
I have a
Like,
feeling. The whole time I'm like, do we ever get to learn what happened to this man? Because I feel like something happened to this man.
Something terrible happened to that man. So let's get right into it. This is Introduction
Also,
to Film.
Since it is night, Kevin, it would be Carpe Noctem. Carpe Noctem. Like,
Thank you.
seize the
now,
night.
Now you're putting another spell on me. Carpe Noctem.
Yaktue. Oops, I released another mummy, Kevin.
Yeah, well, they're pretty far away. Presumably.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Quite frankly, a mummy taking over the world
That would probably be
an
better.
improvement.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Maybe I should read from the book.
So let us begin. This is Introduction to Film. The episode starts with a shot going from the lights. It pans down into the open space on the quad. Jeff is entering a classroom. He asks this burnout-looking kid next to him. He heard that this class is a cakewalk and wants confirmation about that, and the kid just stares at him. So then Jeff goes, "Do you like Dane Cook?" And the kid goes, Dane Cook is awesome. And Jeff is like, okay, perfect. I'm in the right spot. The joke, of course, being that Dane Cook is a hack.
Ah.
And he is. And that that liking him, it makes you stupid. So if the kid is stupid and he's in this class, then it's got to be a dumb class to take.
I think we could probably name a lot of other guys now that would also make that same list.
Oh, well, a billion fucking quote-unquote comedians could make that list. Dane Cook at least told jokes.
That's true. That's
at least
true.
He was attempting humor.
He attempted it. He did.
Then dated that 17-year-old or whatever the hell he did. Seinfeld did it too. All the great comedians date teenagers, Rachel. What's his Charlie Chaplin?
Let's not go there.
So anyway, I found Dane Cook had some good jokes back in the day.
Sometimes he had a couple bits that were funny, but he
became
so
overexposed.
douchey.
Around this time, he became very, very overexposed. It's that same thing that happens to every comedian, where it's like, you're a good stand-up, you have your niche, you have your jokes, and then Hollywood wants to exploit that and shove you in like Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is the exact same way.
That's true.
It's like, Kevin Hart is a good comedian, but they put him in everything, and his shtick gets old and annoying, and it's like, I just wish this guy would shut the fuck up.
Senior Chang as well, because they exploit the
Senior
hell out of
Chang
him
is
too.
the same way. Exactly.
I mean, not Senior Ken Jeong, but still.
Ken Jeong. Yeah. I knew what you meant. I don't know why I went on that rant. Just
I know,
because of
it's
the
just,
dimension
you're so
of Dane
angry.
Cook.
It triggered
so
you.
Angry.
It's okay. We're going to seize the day soon, so maybe
That's right, we're
that'll
about to
make your
seize the day.
anger go away.
John Michael Higgins walks in with a quote about how
he saunters in. How dare you?
he does have a spring in his step this entire time. It works though.
Yes,
it works. He gives them a quote about how a third of your life you spend
sleeping.
Mm-hmm. And then he tells them to open up their books, and then he goes, "Now throw them away.
Close your books.
Throw your books away.
Throw them away.
Close your books. Throw them away. Shit on your books.
Pitch a loaf on the bar."
No one is gonna know that reference.
If they do, they belong here. If they don't, that's okay.
True. That's okay. They'll find it one day. Just Google it. Google that entire phrase. Don't Google only part of it. Or just
shit on your
humor.
books.
Yeah, don't just look up shit on your books. You'll get a completely wrong thing.
No, you don't.
No, okay. You get the video?
That's the first.
He tells them that the class motto is Carpe Diem, and tells them that they all are supposed to live in the moment. There are no grades, there are no tests. As long as they live in the moment, they will get an A.
Mm-hmm.
And this makes Jeff excited, and he tells them all to throw their shoes off and leave the room. And as they do leave the room, and he's telling them all that they could like die tomorrow.
That's right.
He Reagan McNeils them as they leave. You're gonna die up there, but he tells them it like in a positive light, like seize the day. You could die tomorrow.
Right.
And,
yes, it's a positive thing.
He stops Jeff because he's like, and you are new. And he's like, that's right, sir. I'm Jeff Winger, and I'm gonna go seize that day. Pierce is trying to get a voice command to work on his 2009 cell phone. And he just keeps saying it. It goes on forever of him saying voice command. Like, it goes on for like 30 seconds.
It goes on forever, but it's funny.
I could see a lot of television shows getting nervous about how long it goes on.
But it's very relatable, because he's an old man trying to use technology. It's great.
Britta can't take it anymore, and she slams her fists on the table and is like... And they all kind of like look at her like, don't get upset with him. And she was like, could you please just use the buttons? And he's like, okay, Grampy.
Because he wants to be
with
cool.
the times.
Right.
Yeah, he just wants to be cool. He's got his turtlenecks. He's got his like sports coat, or he's got his coats. He's dressed like it's the 70s. Troy has a girly sneeze because he sneezes. Rachel, could you do a Troy sneeze? Thank you. Jeff talks about how great the class is because Professor Whitman
and that everybody
thinks
should
that
join
it's
it.
Dead Poets Society and everyone should enroll. I like that they named him Professor Whitman because it's like Walt Whitman. Like that is clearly the, yeah.
Right. Yes.
Dead Poets. Right. Yes. Idiot.
Obvious.
Annie says that she's not going to do it because she's just there to learn, but then completely changes her mind when Troy says, I'm in.
And she goes,
it's
oh,
a
yeah.
hint.
Because she's had
It's a hint that she has a crush on him. Yeah. Don't you like how they
It's
how
so
they
subtle but perfect.
slip that in?
Yes.
Yeah. Shirley says she'll do it because she loves Robin Williams. Abed won't because he's only allowed to take... Well, he won't because he doesn't like that movie or something like that. There's like a reason behind it.
Something
of
about
not
an
doing
authority figure, I think.
Yeah, like authority figures always turn out to be like mean or something, like in those kind of movies, or like they'll try to like break him down. I think because he's thinking it's going to turn out to be like a Goodwill Hunting situation for him.
Okay.
Which I think they do in another episode of Community with Troy. But then also he's not allowed to take any classes that won't directly help his dad's business because he's only allowed to take classes that will allow him to take over his dad's falafel shop.
So probably a lot of business classes is my guess. Finance and classes and stuff like that.
Finance classes, yeah.
Economics.
Yeah. Probably some management, stuff like that.
Spanish actually is a good one for that too. It makes sense that he would be in Spanish.
It makes sense that he
because
would
then you
learn
have multiple
Spanish.
languages. You can speak to other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So it does make sense.
I'm just like,
it fits. Yeah. Yeah. It fits why he'd be allowed to take Spanish then. He says he wants to make movies. He would be doing film.
Right.
If it was up to him.
Yes.
But his dad doesn't want him to do that because he thinks that Western movies and culture paint Arabs in a bad light, which it's 2009, so you better believe that they're pitching Arabs in a bad light.
Yeah.
Troy tells him that he should see Aladdin. Because Jafar in that movie, and he does the sword.
Yeah, he's like, he's a badass. Like,
and Shirley and Annie agree. They like nod along. Britta takes out a check and writes Abed a check to take the class. And Shirley warns Britta not to do it. And I'm going to see if I can find the quote here.
Isn't Abed's dad a hardcore Muslim? They're not as understanding as Christians. You can't get your head cut off with a salami sword. Wait, you can get your head cut off with a salami sword.
Annie says that's racist. And Jeff goes, I have a feeling...
The most racist thing I've ever heard is what she turns to her and says.
And
she's like...
Jeff goes, I have a feeling that Pierce is going to tap that in about a minute. I also like that Abed says that 9/11 was like the 9/11 for falafel, because he's like, it would hit the Arab restaurant community hard because people don't want to go to it.
Right.
So they all congratulate or like give Britta kudos for agreeing to pay for Abed's class.
Sure.
And for like supporting him. And she's like, you use it, I want you to take it. Troy sneezes like a girl again. Jeff laughs at him and says, oh, you sneeze like a girl. And he says, how about I pound you like a boy?
That didn't come out right. And the immediateness of him saying it like that is so perfect.
Yes.
And his
so
face
good.
just dropping like, damn it.
Yeah. And Donald Glover is so good at like turning
yes.
and the emotion differently. Yes. Very funny.
Hey, Troy sneezes like a girl. And how about I pound you like a boy? That didn't come out right.
Shirley tries to defend Troy by saying that like it's a cute little sneeze and stuff, and Troy goes, you are not my mother. and Pierce, what does Pierce say, Rachel?
She's not.
And Jeff just goes 29 seconds.
Yep.
And that's the cold open. Give us a mo. Da 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 dee. Yeah.
Oh God.
We cut back to Professor Whitman's class, and Shirley is talking about why she's there. I guess, like, I have a feeling that Whitman's doing this with everyone. He's asking them to go in front of the classroom.
Oh, yeah. He's having them
like,
tell
them
us
introduce
why
themselves.
are you here. Right.
Yeah. So he's just like, Shirley, you will get an A if you can tell me why you are at Greendale. And she goes, I would like to get a degree in business so that I can sell my baked goods.
Yes, because she's got that little
Piggy.
voice, and she just kind of talks like this. And
oh, we're going to make baked goods, Kermie. I think it's very close to Miss Piggy.
I see what you mean. I get the correlation there. Yeah.
I always liked
she
seeing
could be a
Yvette
great
Nicole
Miss
Brown.
Piggy.
Back when she would be a very good
She'd
Miss
be
Piggy.
perfect.
Back when Walking Dead was good, they brought her on. They brought Yvette Nicole Brown on to do that Talking Dead show, the Talking Dead, where they would like
the after
that shitty like after show.
Yeah.
But she was such a big fan and good at this, and good at what they were supposed to be doing, that she would bring notes and analysis.
Oh wow!
So she would like
I
become like a
love
regular
that.
because they like kept bringing her back because
she
was,
likes
like, so
it that
fun.
much, so she would actually have fun with it. Oh, see, she could be on our podcast.
She could be on our podcast.
That would be so
Yvette
fun.
Nicole Brown.
I would love that.
Come on the show. We know you're listening.
Yes!
She could be.
She could be! Join us!
Join us! So that...
Why would I become Palpatine?
I don't know. Why not? So anyway, she says that she's here to make the baked goods, and Professor Whitman just goes, "Why are you here?"
Very, very
and she,
like. And she's just
yeah.
like, to
so
sell
Shirley
baked
does
goods.
her like serious voice that goes like, "So I can sell my baked goods and whatnot."
Oh yeah, that's true.
And
She
Whitman,
does go to the deep voice.
Yeah, and Whitman like runs up and like gets right in her face and is like, "Why are you here?" And she says, "Because I wasted 15 years of my life on a man who left me with nothing but stretch marks and a foggy memory of two bland orgasms, and now it's time to get what's mine." And he just goes, "Day seized." That's
Everybody
very
applauds.
good.
It's wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, he's making that. He basically made her admit like, why are you actually
it's like,
trying
no,
to do this?
tell us like, why are you actually doing this? Just let it out.
Yeah.
Like actually, like tell yourself the truth. I think is really what he
Yeah.
was going for.
Yeah, that's what he's going for. And now it is because like she's trying to empower herself after the
Yes.
divorce to like stand on her own. That's the idea.
And that's kind of great. I love that.
Annie is taking notes, so he stops her and tells her that she's acting like an old biddy, an old maid, if you will. Why did the pretty young girl die alone, surrounded by sweater-wearing cats who are trained to use human toilets? Get up on your desk! Come on, stand on your
Everybody
desk!
stand on your desk.
So he makes her stand on her desk.
Everybody.
And he's like, look, she made it. Everyone, stand on your desks. All your lives you've been told not to stand on your desk, but why? And as he says this, one of the girls that stood on the desk,
it breaks.
The desk collapses.
Oh, that's why.
In the commentary, they were talking that the stunt woman that did it, Joel would always like freak out whenever she would do the stunt because like she could,
Oh yeah,
they're stuntmen. They know.
Yeah,
what
they
they're
know what they're doing. They know how to fall. That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
But
That's
they
right.
could still get hurt. So I mean, I would have that emotion too. I'm
Yeah,
like,
so,
oh, God,
so
do
he
they
like
actually
always
get
was
hurt?
like,
Are they
oh
okay?
my God. Professor Whitman's like, she's fine. Go to the nurse. Seize the day.
Seize the
then,
day.
And then tells them that their homework is to swim in a lake and tell 10 people you love them.
It's such a weird homework assignment.
Did
I
you
don't wanna
notice?
swim in a lake.
You would not pass this class, Rachel. You're not a seize the dayer.
Well, okay, I'll swim in the lake. Not fine. Fine, I'll do it.
All right, fine. I'll seize the day. God.
It's gotta be a
Stop
nice day,
ganging
though.
up on me. He keeps Jeff after class. And he
You were
tells
gonna
them
say
that...
you said, did I notice something?
Oh, well, as he keeps Jeff after class, did you notice it's our group that checks on the girl that fell? It's all our group. It's
is it all of
and-
them?
It's Annie and Pierce and Shirley. All are like helping her up and like checking on her.
Oh.
I don't know if that's intentional, just to keep our characters around.
Sure.
Or if it is showing more
Like
of
how
a...
they're like
They're all
coming
selfish,
together.
but they're all, coming together as like the leaders of the school.
Right.
Almost unwittingly, even this early on.
That makes sense.
He keeps Jeff after class. He tells him that he thinks that there's a cocky opportunist that's trying to get an easy A, and there always is one in this class. And he tells him it's you, Mr. Winger.
Yeah, because
you
he
have
said
no
it's
intention.
Pierce.
Yeah, Jeff was saying it was Pierce, and he's like, "No, it's you.
It's you.
You have no intention of seizing the day. And if he doesn't genuinely seize the day by the end of the week, he's going to get an F." And Jeff gets all pissed off and storms out, going, "This is no way to teach accounting."
Is it supposed to be an accounting class?
I think that's the joke. Is like, the one of those subjects that would have to be so by the books,
yeah.
and the professor's like throwing it out completely.
Oh, that's silly. I kept thinking it was like a literature class. I don't know why. I guess because of what it. Yeah.
Oh well, it would. That I think that that's the joke because
Right.
it's not an English class or
It's
a poetry
actually
class or anything
accounting.
like that. Yeah.
I guess it would have made it so Abed could be in that class if it was accounting, because I feel like he would be allowed to take an accounting class.
You would think to know how to do those books. Jeff is complaining to Britta about how he has to seize the day somehow or he's going to get an F. And Britta goes, it's really not fair how hard it is for you to cheat here. Abed has a little handheld camera.
Mm-hmm.
Britta asks how the class is going. Abed tells her that his first assignment is to film a documentary, which is like a movie, but with ugly people. And she's being very motherly to him. She's,
Yes.
Abed, how are you? How are
Like,
you
how's
doing?
your class? Like, wants to know what's going on. being supportive.
Abed says that he's doing a movie about his dad.
Right.
And his dad comes walking up, stomping up. Because, like, Abed's almost, like, plotting this all out.
I think he's
almost, like, setting them all up.
He has it set up for everything. He knows what they're going to do. Like, he already knows what they're going to do, so he's just, like, laying the seeds for it. Absolutely.
Right. Because Abed has a lot of them pinned down already.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of
He's
knows
very
what
observant.
everyone's thinking. The dad comes in, and Jeff goes, "Oh, holy war." Which is so off color.
So really bad.
It's insane. So the dad, if you recognized him, Rachel, is the principal from Glee.
Yes.
Which is funny because, of course, Community is always poking fun at Glee because Glee was like the juggernaut of the late 2000s.
It's true.
And they were not. So they were always like, you might as well punch up and like always make fun of Glee because you know that they're getting the ratings. And they share a studio set as well. So they were always near each other.
Well, that makes sense then.
I'm going to say his name wrong. Iqbal Thiba, playing Gobi Nadir, Abed's dad. He asks for where Mr. Britta is, who's like paying for this class.
Right.
And she goes, I'm Mr. Britta.
I'm a woman. Yeah, like
you did a very good impression, Rachel, of like how Britta does like that head shake, because she does that all the time whenever she's trying to make a point.
Yeah, she does that head shake to make the point to go along with it. Like,
Like, that's right. I am a woman with rights, and you can see my whole face. And he goes, I love women, but I'm getting a major B-word vibe from you.
I love that. It's so good.
Jeff tries to interject, and he goes, go back to hosting American Idol. So another Ryan Seacrest gag there.
It's great.
They go back and forth, and I didn't catch all of this, but they're confusing each other because, like, she says something about, I'm trying to let Abed find his dreams, and he says something like, dreams are, fantasies, they're not real, or something.
Dreams are for
sleeping. She's like, that's not... Yeah, dreams are for sleeping, and they like, but that's only when dreams are. Like, dreams are only for when you're sleeping. And they eventually like kind of come to blows with this. His dad tries to take Abed home, and him and Britta start to struggle and like fight each other for real, and Jeff pulls them apart. Britta gets into this boxing stance, like this old like Irish boxing stance. I was like, did Gillian Jacobs just do that? Because it just is so awkward. I could see Britta being like, I dated like a kickboxer once, so she gets into like that stance or something. Yeah.
The drunken fist stance, because it's just like up in the air. Like, where are you going with that? Keep it down low.
Jeff tells Abed's dad that, hey, Abed is an adult and an American citizen, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And can stay. And his dad says, fine, you want to deal with this? You want to raise him? Go ahead. I'm out. So what we're hearing here is that he's cutting Abed off and that Jeff and Britta can support him.
Yes, that's what I took from that too.
It's very abrupt, but in the next scene you find out that like Britta's like looking at Abed's finances.
Right, to see how is this going to work.
Yeah, like literally that's what is happening here. As Abed's dad is walking away, Britta goes, I have a father just like you, and the day I cut myself loose is the day I started being happy. And then she like cries and walks away.
That's right. Daddy issues.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, Britta would. Abed tells Jeff that he thinks that Jeff should be his father. And Jeff goes, I don't want to be your father.
Perfect.
And Abed goes, you already know your lines.
I'll have to make some adjustments to my film. Jeff, I think you should play the role of my father.
I don't want to be your father.
It's perfect. You already know your lines.
Aw, that's sad.
Well, we learn that Abed was probably kind of a handful.
I would
hard
imagine.
To understand him.
Sure. Because his dad even says he's a special boy. He knows.
Yeah.
He's just trying to do
a lot
whatever.
of this show, though, is the idea that people underestimate Abed, or they don't understand Abed.
So he just tries to express himself.
If you tried to understand him, or you would.
You get it.
You would see that, yeah, he has a lot of value.
He's a lot of value.
Danny Pudi plays him very well.
It's
like, this
so
is
good. I love this character so much.
They're in the cafeteria. Jeff, according to Britta, is dressed like an 80s rapist. He's dressed like Gallagher. I don't know why she called him an 80s rapist, but she say that?
Yeah, she does, yes.
Okay.
I think it's because, like, it's very childish with, like, the the rainbow overall suspenders and the very bright tie, and
yeah,
it's a little creepy. I get it.
It is creepy. Oh, if you saw this hulking brute Joel McHale walking down the street, you'd turn and walk.
Yeah, my car keys would be in my hand.
Cross the street.
I'd have the keys between the knuckles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you got those keys in the knuckles. That's for damn sure. She's calculating how much money Abed is spending, and he's spending a lot of Britta's money that she, I guess, gave him.
She must just be because she's not I think it's because she just keeps writing him. It's either that check or a couple other checks. She must be signing a couple more. And she's not specifying what it's for, so
yeah. Shirley walks up to Britta though and says that she respects it, and she thinks that you're actually going through with it, and that's very heartwarming, and that she loves her. And Jeff's like, don't worry about it, it's just part of her homework. And then she tells the barista that she loves her too for making her coffee because she's trying to get the 10 people.
Right. Yeah, she does. She tells them you did this, it was wonderful. Thank you. I love you.
Yeah. Abed comes in and has a much better camera now. It lets him adjust specific settings that most people don't think about or care about. Hey, I'm there with Abed.
It's true, though, and I love it. It's my favorite thing to play around with those things. Ugh.
Ranted about my television of I need the settings very specific. I can't get a Samsung TV because they don't let you change the smoothing and shit on it. And it's that kind of stuff. Or even this computer, this laptop that I bought recently, folks, so that shelf life could be bigger and better than ever. I didn't need this laptop. I got it because I need all those specific settings.
He did need it.
Rachel was like, no, you need a fucking new laptop.
It was driving me nuts, and it's not even my laptop.
It's true.
But yes, it's very pretty, and it has a lot of fun settings.
Abed tells Jeff that he'll order him a coffee on him. Jeff looks at Britta and is like, just give me a small black coffee.
A boring coffee.
Yeah, Professor Whitman's like, boo. Bland coffee for a boring life.
Yep.
And then this is an underrated moment in Community, Rachel. Because it's so ridiculous. No. The way
I know what you're gonna say.
He tells Jeff that he's trying too hard and snaps the suspenders. But then he's like, I shall have to the barista.
He rips the menu.
And it's just the way that he goes, a birthday cake.
Yes, he slams his hands on the counter and goes, I will have a birthday cake.
I shall have a birthday cake.
Proclaims it to the world.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's Pagliacci or something, too.
That's right. It's beautiful.
It's such a good delivery.
That's a moment. You're going to have a birthday cake today.
And folks at home, you can just go buy a birthday cake.
It doesn't have to
It
be
doesn't need to be anyone's birthday.
No.
You're an adult. You can buy a cake.
That's right.
Someday I'm going to do it, Rachel.
Why don't you? Seize the day,
Maybe
Kevin.
the next time.
Carpe diem.
I might have to. Maybe the next time I accomplish something at work, I'm going to have to buy myself a cake.
You know what? You
We'll
don't
put
even
it on our
have to
Instagram.
have that accomplishment. The accomplishment is that you seized that day and you got yourself that cake.
You're right. I seized the day.
You seized
the day. She's right.
I'd pass this class.
You would pass the class.
I would pass this class.
Troy sneezes girly in front of everyone in the student lounge area. Pierce brings him a Coke or something.
No, he doesn't bring it to
himself.
him. Yeah, I was gonna say.
These are both for me.
Yeah,
but he thinks he can help Troy. He tells Troy to first lose the jacket. Makes you look like a high school bitch.
It's fair. Well, I mean, they had this conversation before, like you said. It's just like you're holding on to it too hard.
Jeff told him do whatever you want to do,
right?
And Pierce is just flat out get rid of the jacket.
No, take it away. It's holding you back.
Pierce and Troy have an interesting relationship throughout the series too.
Yes.
Pierce has an interesting relationship with all of them because he's a goofball idiot buffoon.
Yes.
Baby boomer. But then he has these moments of clarity where he actually does.
He does actually have something to say that's actually
it's why
helpful and relevant.
Yeah, there's relevancy here to it. It's why in the second season I didn't like how far they made him into the villain. They make him the antagonist too much.
Sure.
And maybe that was one of Chevy Chase's problems with it. And if it was, like, I'd kind of agree with it. We'll get to it when we do the second season. But they just push it a little too much of him being, like, evil villainy versus buffoon that's lonely and just, like, wants to help but does it in an evil way.
Right.
Anyway, when he was CEO, he had an array of sneezes to assert dominance. He had the loud sneeze, silence the room.
Yeah, that's a dad sneeze.
Oh, our dad
I said
sneezes,
the second
like,
I heard that, I was like,
Jesus.
that's a dad sneeze.
Yeah. our dad would
Startling.
sneeze and, like, you would jump. Yeah, he
the
had
dog
a
would
startle
jump.
sneeze.
He'd be in, like, at the opposite end of the house, sneeze, and the dog would be like, Jesus Christ.
To this day, the 30-some-odd years that I've been on this planet,
still does
it's
it.
like, it still does it. And every time I'm like, God damn it. Sometimes he does the goofy sneeze where he's like,
yes, that's
and
also
that's
true.
still startling.
It's because it's still loud as can be. Oh, it's great.
Pierce also has the pull them in sneeze where he goes, and sometimes I won't sneeze, but it pulls them in and draws them in.
And he's in control.
And sometimes he drives the point home with a sneeze where I think that you have to change the sales numbers on that. I love how Troy sits there in silence this entire time, just staring at him.
It's like steaming silence. Yes.
If it was like Jeff, he'd be like, "You're an idiot." But because it's Troy, he just goes, "Tell me more."
Yes,
which I love.
And he
Go
pushes
ahead.
over the pop, like, "All right, let's do this."
Yeah,
it was like a test. Like, I brought this.
Yeah.
I brought these for me,
Like-
but he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Weird note, but one of the cans of pop at one point becomes crushed looking, like someone squeezed it. And I couldn't stop looking at it because I was like, he didn't do that. Why did that happen? And that's all I could think about.
There's got to be an outtake.
There's got to be where he, like,
he
grabs
did
it, like he
something with
sneezes
it, yeah,
and, like,
while he was
grabs it.
sneezing. Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I'm like, why does it look crushed? Like it imploded.
Yeah, that's got to be something that happened. It's got to be, I guarantee it. Jeff tries another stunt to try to get Professor Whitman to tell him he sees the day.
This is so elaborate.
He is flying a kite.
All he has to
across the
do
quad.
is go lay in the grass and look up at the sky. You know? That's it.
Yeah, that's...
Just lay and stare up at the clouds. That's
But
it.
Rachel, he can't
I know, he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to relax. He doesn't know how to relax.
He goes from flying this kite to jumping rope with some girls, and Whitman just walks up and gives him a thumbs down, and he's like, "This is sloppy."
Mm-hmm.
And considering the age of those girls, it's unwittingly creepy.
It is real. I said that right before you said that. I went, "Ooh, it's kind of creepy because why do they look like teenagers?" I'm like,
Yeah,
what's
they
with
look
the
they look
teenagers?
young. They look like high schoolers.
And then he puts
at
his arm
best.
around the one, and he goes, "That's
Yeah.
creepy." And I was just like, "Okay, thank you for pointing it out," because I thought the same thing.
Well, then we find out that it was all a stage.
Yes,
'cause
he paid
pays
them.
the girls and tells them to get out of there. And Whitman puts up what we were talking about. How long does it take you to make it so you look like you have bedhead in the morning?
It's true.
How many combinations of sweatpants and sports jackets do you go through so that you look like you don't care?
Right.
His
Well,
point
it's
is
the same
like,
shirt from the last episode too, so it makes sense.
everything he does is for his self-image of how he wants people to like look at him as cool, and he never does anything just because he wants to do it in the moment.
Right.
He's calculating everything.
Right.
It's the it's just another like control problem. Like it's he can't do anything uninhibited
Mm-hmm.
because if he did, he would let his guard down.
Yes. Exactly.
And in that way, it's kind of an interesting lesson for Jeff to have to learn.
Yeah, it's true. It's a hard thing to do too when you want to have like control and you feel
Well,
like
and especially for
need
a
for
character
it.
like this, because he was a hotshot lawyer.
Right.
He lost his license, and now he has to like go to this community college. So he's full of like embarrassment, probably.
Right, that too.
And the only way that he can overcome that is just by pretending like he does not give a shit, and he's like the coolest guy in the room at all times.
He wants people to still look at him like he's a badass.
We did a lot of analysis about Jeff. There's a lot.
There's more to this than you expect.
There's layers to this fucking sitcom about,
like
the
ogres.
onion of Community, like ogres.
This is a parfait moment, and that's what we needed.
Everyone loves parfait. You find
now
someone
that's
that does
a way
say
to
they don't like parfait.
Seize the day. Donkey knows how to seize the day.
Donkey does seize the day.
Every day.
He definitely does. He makes out with that dragon. He makes waffles, other stuff. Professor Whitman gives Britta this little flower as he trots away.
That's right. Yeah, from his like lapel. He like had a flower on him and just gives it to her. He sees that day. He gave her a flower.
He sees the day. He gave her a flower. Yeah, because like one of the things that he says that foreshadows the ending of the episode is like you never kiss a girl in the middle of the day, like just randomly or something like that. Which like what do you want him to do, Professor Whitman?
Again, lay in the grass.
Somebody?
No, that is not seizing the day. That is seizing an opportunity. Two different things.
With consent, he can seize that day.
He could stick his feet in the fountain, enjoy the coolness of the water.
That's right. Frolic through the fountain. Yes.
Have an ice cream cone. You know,
have an ice cream
Tell
cone.
someone they look nice. There's a lot of things you could do.
Britta tells Jeff that Abed is cutting class, but every time she tries to ask why he's doing this, he talks about how she's his mother. And Jeff is like, look, Abed is not normal. While they're having this argument, Abed is filming them from afar and is like backing up to do like cinematic back up on them.
Yeah, he's like crouching from a low angle.
Jeff is like, is he gonna kill us?
I guess, yeah, he does look like he's stalking like prey, like he's stalking his prey.
Sort of, yes, exactly. Abed has bought the study group pizza. Britta is like like a mom and dad thing. Like she's like nudging him to bring this up to Abed. Jeff is like fine and says like, Abed, why are you not going to class? And Abed says like, well, I've been filming my movie, so I haven't been going to class because I'm filming the movie. The movie's more important. A guy comes in with a bunch of lattes. Abed's like, oh yeah, those are for me. And Britta's like snaps and says like, why are you doing this? Why are you not talking to me? Why are you spending all of like my money? I am
frivolous
giving you that
ways,
money.
Yeah.
And just kind of snaps and goes like, why won't you say anything?
At the meantime, says, like, Pierce is having issues eating his pizza. Go on.
Yeah, I like that because it feels like a Chevy Chase thing where he's just like, all right, I'm in the background, I'll just do something silly, and he's like can't like get the pizza in his mouth. She asks Abed if he's doing this on purpose, and he says, this is the scene where you leave. And she's like, yeah, you got that right. And she like gets up and leaves.
Yep.
And he turns and he asks Jeff, what do you think about that, Dad? And he goes, I think that you are really weird, Abed. And I think that the wrong person just left. And so Jeff leaves to go console Britta.
Yes.
And the guy that brought the lattes in goes, that guy was your dad?
Yeah, he came in on a weird moment. Poor dude.
Yeah, really. And Abed in the room, in the study room, says, all right, that's a wrap. He's finished filming.
Yes, he's like, okay, that's what I needed. Thank you.
Abed is editing his video, and Jeff pulls in Britta and Abed's dad into the study room.
Yes.
By telling Britta that he had tickets to Ravi Shankar, and telling Abed's dad that he had tickets to Weezer.
Why would they get either of them to come in? It's just so weird.
Well, that's obviously the joke. So Jeff actually is taking it upon himself to, like, meld all this over, which I don't think that Professor Whitman got to him, but it's that little nugget of Jeff where he's just can't he it's almost like
he wants to separate himself, but he can't.
Well, and it's almost like for Abed's sake, he's like, we have to
we can't
sort this out.
Do this, right.
He tells them both that they clearly want the best for Abed. But the lesson is to let everyone do what they want. So he's trying to say, like, stay out of everyone's business. That includes your son, and, like, let him do what he wants. He's an adult.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the dad's point could be, like, well, I'm not going to pay for it then. Like, he has to pay for it himself.
Right.
Like, I get it. Yeah. Like,
and he wants to do what's best for
argument.
him, too. He's like, I'm paying for this. I want to do what's best for him. I don't want him to just do something that's not going to get him anywhere.
And Abed's dad says, like, you want to know what my opinion is? You and your pillow-lipped girlfriend wanted to be cowboys and turned chicken when you realized that it was going to take more than just speeches and guided missiles or something like that. And Jeff is like, oh, this is like some sort of Iraq metaphor? And he goes, no, it's not a metaphor. It's like you literally are giving speeches, and it's something about Britta's boobs. And I like did not understand that joke. But that's what it was.
Her guided. Oh yeah, because it's her guided missiles, and he did like.
Yeah,
this.
I don't know what he means.
What
by
does that mean? That's weird. All right, I guess because she's a woman and she's dressing a little more provocatively.
Or maybe he thinks like she's is she trying to take advantage of him by being more womanly?
Right.
Yeah, maybe. They start fighting and arguing with each other, but Abed goes, done, during this, and then he asks them all to watch it and sit down and watch his movie, which is borderline experimental.
Oh my god.
Rachel, you want to describe what happens here in Abed's film?
It's a mashup of the stuff that we saw him actually filming, but with like overlays of his parents' faces on Britta and Jeff, right?
Yeah.
And then there's some weird stuff with Abed. It's called 6 candles too, so it's supposed to be like 16 candles is my guess. But
I think it's because the mom
that's when he left
out.
when he was 6.
Yeah.
But it's very weird. It's very spliced together and odd. And the whole idea is that he blames himself for breaking up his parents' marriage and his mom leaving.
Yeah. Like, that is the underlying.
Because they do.
So
there's like a part where his head is floating around and there's like stuff being pushed in. My guess is that's when he has to go to the doctor because they don't know what's like wrong with him. Mm-hmm. And so they're doing a lot of like experiments and testing him and stuff like that.
Every time that they called him weird,
yes,
Abed puts that in there. Yeah. I don't want to be your father.
Right.
Why won't you just let me help you? Like all those things with like the overlay of like his parents' face. He's like a baby with like Abed's head on it.
And then there's
point.
crying. There's baby crying. It's very unnerving.
Yeah. So it's this experimental thing, and when it's all over, it just goes Cool Abed Films.
Yes.
So like it's like this very serious thing. Like you get it, but then like it just goes Cool Abed Films at the end.
There's even a shot of his dad, like a couple of shots of his dad.
Yeah, just staring
at himself in the mirror
like,
and
touching the
empty side of the bed. I was like, that's actually really sad because like his dad's like really upset that she left.
It's deeper than you think the show could get through the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, and like the last line is, "I think the wrong person left," and he even has it in Arabic. Right
he
above
puts
that,
it up in Arabic,
and I'm just like, "Oh wow, that is such a poignant thing to like land on."
Well, because he's thinking like, I should have left.
Yes,
like, I didn't mean to break you guys up.
Yeah,
like it's my fault.
Right.
Jeff and Britta don't understand it.
Right.
Because they're self-centered. And they're not going to understand, like,
and they're only seeing, like, the first layer of it.
So they're just sitting there, like, they don't know what they're doing.
His dad is distraught.
Yeah, his dad is shown just being touched by it, and he's crying. The actor here...
this moment...
is really good at this.
This is a moment.
Like, you understand it. You, like, feel for this man that...
Oh, my God.
Has been a single father raising his son who he knows thinks differently
than other people, and he's trying to help him make his way through the world.
And yet the dad, probably because he knows Abed, completely understood what his son was trying to say.
Well, yeah, because he turns to him and he goes, in a different language, he says
in Arabic.
In Arabic, he says it because I think he wants this just to be between them, and he says, "I never said I blamed you for her leaving," and Abed says, "You never had to," and I'm just like, "Oh my God!" So now his dad just like realizes the way I've been treating you isn't the right way. Like the what I've been doing is wrong. I've been too hard on him.
Yeah. He turns and he says to Jeff and Britta, like, My son is hard to understand, but if making movies is going to help him be understood,
which is just like,
he can take the class.
Because he's like, this is
it's
way
so
deeper.
Yeah,
it's so deep because it's just like one of those like, if this is his way of expressing himself and making himself be understood by the world, do it, because that's probably what he's always wanted for him.
Right.
And
yeah,
it's just...
That's all he wants for him. He just wants... He wants the world to understand him.
Yes.
And if this is the way that he can do that, then fine.
That hits.
I do like when they're talking and Britta mouths to Jeff and says, I made this happen.
Yes.
She just mouths it
like,
to him.
I did this. It's like, oh my God, Britta. Get out of your own ass.
She wants to do the right thing, but she wants
does.
credit for it.
Yes. That's the part of it. Mm-hmm.
As his dad is walking out, he turns her back around and says, but falafel is a fallback. So, like, he's still going to have to take the classes
Which is
just
fair.
in case.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
It's a good idea to have a fallback. Yes,
Yeah.
chase your dreams, have a fallback.
Folks at home, chase your dreams, carpe diem.
Carpe diem.
Have a fallback.
But have something to fall back on that's reliable and structured, because it's hard out there.
Like podcasting.
Yes. Like podcasting.
Britta asks Abed if he put this all, like, if he set them all up. She says to him, like, that is not what friends do to each other. And she's right. She's trying to teach him, like, an actual lesson. Like, don't
you
do
really,
that
like,
to me.
pushed us in ways that, and you didn't, like, let us have our own feelings about this.
I feel like later on, Abed does learn that lesson in some of these documentary episodes, but, like, here he just goes, that's why they call it friendship business. That's why they call it show business, and pulls a cigarette out. And
yeah, he's still doing a bit.
Yeah, he's still doing a bit.
I think he gets it, but also is like...
Yeah, he's got to finish the bit.
But no, this is how this works.
Jeff grabs Britta's leg because she's like...
In a comforting way.
Cigarette? Right, but goes like, let him go, hun. Let him leave the nest.
And
she just goes, please don't touch my knee.
I like that.
Yeah, there's a...
Because she's just like, has her hands up like, what are you doing?
I watched a few of the outtakes, and there's one where he does that and then she improvises the line and, like, is starting to laugh and goes like, your hand's very warm. And then he improvises the line back like, I warmed it up for you. She, like, goes like, that's so gross, or that's so inappropriate, and starts laughing or whatever.
It's weird.
There's another one, and I can't remember if it's from it might be from a different episode, but it's the same line.
Okay.
Where he says, like, let him leave the nest, but they're in the cafeteria.
Huh.
So I don't know if it's from a different episode. He reaches over, and I don't know if Joel McHale did this on purpose or not. You think he's, like, going to grab her arm, but he grabs her boob, and Gillian Jacobs looks so horrified. She, like, goes like, oh my... She does that thing where, like, you put your like, hand up to your face, is like, oh my God. And,
yes.
like, Joel McHale goes, that was inappropriate. So I can't tell if he missed...
I think
he's, like, looking off in the distance
and then he's making
like,
it a
completely
joke.
missed.
I think he missed, because he's a tall dude, so if they're standing, he probably was trying to, find the right level to put his hand, grabbed it, and went, that's not her arm. Hopefully.
So anyway,
otherwise that was a poor joke there, Joel McHale.
Yeah, they've got a sexy spoiler alert coming up later on in the series. They have a kissing scene here. They're professionals. They know what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
Troy tries the sneeze and is happy with it.
Yeah, because he like
fist pounds.
Yeah, he startles
Pierce.
Shirley.
That's right.
And then she looks impressed.
It's
like, all right, that's a manly
like,
sneeze.
oh, he's a man. Yes,
he's a man.
Now you're a man, Troy. You're a man now, dog. It's like the end of the day, like the sun is setting. I like the look of the color,
yeah,
like the lighting.
You like can feel this. Like I feel this.
Yeah.
I understand the time of campus.
Yeah.
I'm like on the quad
you don't
walking.
see this lighting enough on television.
No,
this
you
golden
really
hour
don't.
Look. Britta says that she owes Jeff because he got involved and was able to get her out of that jam of having to finance Abed. She realizes that she owes him one. And as they stand there, she goes like, why don't you kiss me? Like, kiss me right now. So Jeff does, and they like do this like big passionate kiss. And she stares at him for a second, and you like think that they're having a moment where they realize that like each other, and then she just goes, now we're even. Walks away with like a smile on her face, and Professor Whitman is like between them, like framed between them.
Because he was like creepily watching. Like he somehow just snuck between all of the people walking around that we couldn't see him. And he was like waiting for a moment. Yes.
Yeah.
And he tells Jeff, he seized that moment.
He tells Jeff that he knows a life-changing kiss if I ever seen one. And then he goes and climbs a tree. I don't
really
know if Professor
does
Whitman
climb
comes
this
back.
full tree.
I hope Professor Whitman comes back. I don't remember him being in other episodes, but this is a good character.
It's a ridiculous character. I love him.
Because he could be overly positive a lot in future, like, scenarios for Greendale, I feel.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he's just in the background being super positive, and it's just, that's why we remember him more.
Jeff isn't sure how to feel. He kind of, like, walks away, because I think he is developing more feelings for Britta than he intended.
They both did. You could see it in their eyes.
Do you think Britta did, though? Because, like, I thought she was putting him on.
No. I think there was something. There was a little something there.
Okay.
I think there was a spark. I don't think it was a dead fish kiss, so...
I mean, one of the things for sure was that Dan Harmon did not want... He even says, like, I did not want this to be Jim and Pam. I did not want a will they, won't they to drag on. He was like, we wanted to play with that trope of will they, won't they, but he didn't want it to be
They do that so much in
line.
sitcoms. They do it so much.
They do it pretty decently in Community, though, where they play with it and they'll twist it.
Yes.
And everyone in this study group ends up sleeping with each other, but it's not the main driver.
Right.
Like it does with The Office, is who's sleeping with each other is the only driver of that show after a while. The end bit is Abed tries to crump.
Yes, he does. He tries.
Because that was a thing in 2009, for sure.
I think it's still like a big thing, too.
Do you think so? Like, this was like prime crumping.
This is prime
Bring it on
crumping.
3, Rachel.
Oh, I know.
Bring it on 3.
Don't I know it? All right? You gotta watch all the Bring It Ons.
Yeah, on the list. I love Bring It On.
Bring It On's fantastic. But crumping was such a huge thing to get into, and I think it just became like more of a mainstream thing. And I think it's still something that's kind of big in groups, but I think it's not as like in the
it's not central. Part of the social.
Yeah.
This is definitely a mirror into 2009 with the crumping, though, for sure.
I don't know what
picture
Abed
in my
is
head
doing.
Hayden Panettiere crumping.
Oh yes, really
to the music.
awful and like so stiff. Absolutely, 100%. And she thinks she did something really amazing, and it's just.
And then the other cheerleaders being like, "You just dance fucked that guy by crumping with him."
Anyways, I don't know what Abed is doing.
I don't know what Abed. He's not doing it stiff enough. He's too loose.
He's so loosey goosey, and I think I prefer it that way. There's something about the way that he's just freeing his body into the movement, seizing the day.
He's much more free. But Troy does it right.
Oh, Troy does it, and it's like, yes.
And then Jeff walks in and is like, "What are you doing?" And then all three of them are just absurdly dancing.
It's so amazing. And I love it.
That is the end of an introduction to film. So we have passed that class. Rachel, what did you think about an introduction to film?
It's great. It's emotional, it's fun, it has silly moments that also are very heartfelt, and it's very enjoyable. I like it. I liked this one.
Yeah, this is
some great characterization.
Yes. I won't say this is the moment that made Community, but it's that first episode where you're like, oh, this can have a Futurama, Parks and Rec, Simpsons-esque touching moment to go along with the absurdity. It's not just going to be crass and nihilistic. The thing about Dan Harmon, taken as a whole, I've seen some Rick and Morty, not a lot of it.
Yes.
You've probably seen way more than me.
I have.
I'm sure some of that is on the list, if not a lot of it. I feel like Dan Harmon is pessimistic.
Yes.
Nihilistic.
Absolutely. 100%. Yes.
So to
especially with Rick and Morty, I'll just say that right now. Yes.
So to see that Community can have moments that are genuinely touching and understanding and heartfelt and real, like this isn't saccharine. This was like a genuine thing to happen between Abed and his father, was nice to see. At the same time, at the end of the video, it's got that dumb, cool Abed films in the head.
Right.
They can do both.
They can do both.
So it was actually very nice to see that. So it's a touching one. It was very good. I thought this one was very good. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that you're almost going through each character maybe one by one. We'll have to see what the next ones do.
Oh yeah, I'm curious.
Because like the second episode was Pierce. This one was Abed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like Britta and Jeff are the catalysts to like pull in these other characters as well.
Right.
So we'll
give
see
each
where,
one a
where else it
spotlight.
goes.
Mm-hmm.
That was Introduction to Film. Well, Rachel, look at the time. We have got to get over
Ooh,
to
we're
the
almost
study
late.
group because,
I need
yeah,
a
we are going to
coffee
be
first.
late. We are going to be told that our tardiness was not unnoticed if we don't.
Well, they're just
Get over
talking.
there.
They're just chit-chatting right now. I gotta get to the
Yeah,
real
about their
stuff.
stupid lives and everything. Yeah, you're right. But before we go, you want to stop for coffee? I have to get the fake
Yeah.
answers to the fake test.
You gotta flirt with the
um,
barista. I know that's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm only human. So after we're gonna go take a bit of a break so that we can go study up for the next episodes of Community. But until next time, I've been Kevin.
And I'm Rachel.
And this has been Community on Shelf Life. We'll see you next time, everyone. Bye!
Carpe diem!
Seize the day! Oh, you know what I'm gonna order from the barista?
Oh, what?
A birthday cake!
¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Me llamo T-Bone, la araña discoteca.
Discoteca, muñeca, la biblioteca. Es un bigote grande, pero manteca.
Manteca, bigote, gigante, pequeño. Cabeza es nieve, cerveza es bueno.
Buenos días, me gustas papas frías. Bigote de la cabra, es Cameron Díaz. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
What? It's 2009.
Word.